You threw me for a loop there.
What'd I do?
Well, you just started a little early on the update. Normally you start about 6 minutes and 30 seconds or 6:01, and you start at 5:59:00.
Well, I had to
caught me
make,
by surprise.
I had to make the decision. I had to make a conscious
decision.
decision.
Do you go to the next topic? Or
do I go
you
to the
stop
next
early?
topic at 5:59:15, or do I start the update at 5:59:15?
You should have just said, I'm going to go dark for 45
yeah,
seconds.
just quiet.
Talk amongst yourselves. The chickpea was neither a chick nor a pea. Discuss. What about Hugh? Is Hugh coming today?
Yeah, he says he just texted me. He says I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Well, he's not here.
Well, he's probably here, but not here.
You go over there.
Okay.
Go over there. Go over there. I've learned my lesson. I'm a sucker once. I'm not a sucker twice.
Oh, you're going to put Hugh over here so he can.
Hugh over here.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
See,
Thank you very much.
That's some stinking thinking right there.
Yeah. And we're going to move. We're going to move
You
one of
should have
those. Terry, we're going to move one of those to this side that has the cough button.
You should have heard Hugh yesterday. Okay. He was.
I know,
high
Terry.
Maintenance.
I can't go through what I went through yesterday. Here, take this. Move this across. All right. Move that. There we go.
It was
We're
gonna
high
maintenance.
Hugh was great.
Yesterday.
Hugh was great here, right when this first week or the first 2 weeks when he was in this chair. Let him control his own setup,
that's right.
so we don't have to worry about Hugh Breedlove Millen. 6:02 on. Hey, how was it last night, Slick Off?
It was fun.
You got the what did you do to get the good draw? I had to sit with him in 11-3 loss, and you got to sit with him in a 3-1 win. That's not hardly fair.
Yeah, he wasn't nearly as vocal, I don't think, as he was with you.
You know, I was thinking about it. What's the name of the guy that's the All-Star Oriole? Scope. How do you pronounce
Jonathan
it?
Scope.
Yeah. It's pronounced Scope.
Like you rinse your mouth.
He hit a home run in the first inning, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Were you sitting next to our buddy? I was thinking, as soon as it popped on my phone, Jonathan Scope is in a home run at the top of the first. It's 1-0. I was thinking, was he up? Was he up screaming?
Slick, was he doing that? High five him to the rest of the team.
That a boy, Trey. Give him a high five. Give him a high five.
Give him a high five. Boom, boom.
Was he up yelling and
Give him a five.
Was he up like yelling and pointing at the field?
Well, yeah, there was a little bit of that.
And that's the only run they had.
There was a Mariners fan a couple of rows ahead of us who, like, once the Mariners started doing stuff, kept looking back at Lock and Fora.
Oh, good.
And, like, giving them the eyes.
Nice.
You know?
Nice.
He was staring them down.
Yeah.
I've done that sometimes.
I thought maybe, like, if the Orioles came back, Jason said he was going to get right in his face and give him the eyes, right, like, go down there. I thought there was going to be a dust-up.
I am a full believer that if you are at a game rooting for the road team, you need to tone it down. It is not your stadium. It is not your home. You can cheer for your team, but I do not believe you should be obnoxious in somebody else's home park.
It depends.
I really
It depends on a lot of factors.
And I get pissed when I see obnoxious fans at Seahawks games.
Well, now the first
Mariner
question,
games.
that's a slippery slope because I don't know what you define as obnoxious. What you define as obnoxious is I define it. Hey, Hugh, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you being here.
I think you know.
Now Hugh's going to go through the whole routine with his headsets, and he's going to.
That's why we moved him over there.
We have to go through the whole headset routine. How do you define obnoxious? I mean, Slickhawk's going to sit here. I can tell just from yesterday's conversation, and I'm only left to assume that Jason Lockenfor acted the same way with Slickhawk as he did with me.
He had more reason. He scored 11 runs with you.
Yeah, he was very quiet after like the third inning.
But he's going to say,
the excitement turned into anger and disgust very quickly.
Nice, very good.
Yeah,
With
so
like
I don't know what it was like
last
night.
that the Mariners retired.
When you go out of your way to make sure that other people around you know who
then
you're
Jason
rooting
Lockenfor is obnoxious.
Yes.
Then you would call Jason Lockenfor obnoxious.
Absolutely.
In the road ballpark.
Yeah.
He's an
Now,
obnoxious.
if you're in a road ballpark and somebody hits a home run and you just stand up and just clap and then sit back down again, that's it, that's all, fine. I mean, natural emotion is one thing, but showing everybody around you who the man is, who the team is, that's obnoxious.
So how was your night? You have any stories? I mean, did he sell any T-shirts?
He sold one.
In the bathroom?
Like right before the game even started, he sold one.
Really, just in the
he
concourse,
went up. He got a beer. Came
so
back.
what's your guys' conclusion about my groupie comment last night? See, See, here's my big fear with the radio show. A lot of times with the radio show, sometimes you go through something in real life outside off the air, and then you bring it back on the air, and somehow from the time off the air to the time on the air, it subtly changes. The story subtly changes. I'm telling you, I sat there for 2 hours, 2.5 hours with him the other night, and he was telling me one after the next which guys he's buddies with, and going down to the farm clubs and hanging out with his son, and I mean the story was it just seemed different than when he sat here and told you guys the story yesterday.
He toned it down a little bit.
His version of the story yesterday was much different.
If I'm using the Hugh Millen 1 to 100 scale, my groupie level's at about a 74.
Okay, that's pretty high. Come on, I mean, he's got a podcast, so he talks to these guys. I mean, I have.
Yeah, Mitch has a radio show,
but Mitch does it differently. Okay, but to that point, I have many Mariners players and Seahawk players' cell phone numbers. Mariners all through. I have Kyle Lewis's cell phone number. I want to get Kyle Lewis on the show. I text Kyle Lewis. So I mean, I get it.
Okay, but I think that there's a distinction between having no. There's distinctions between having people's phone numbers because you produce a radio show, with you using them in a kind of a gray area, non-radio capacity, producing T-shirts, just letting them know, hey, I'm going to be in Anaheim. I'm going to come down to batting practice to hang out. You would never do that with any of the, right? You would never do any of that with any of the cell phone numbers.
Well, no, but
right?
I'm not cool with those guys. Like, he talks to those guys.
He does
Who's
that.
Higher
he kind of befriends them.
Who's higher on the groupie meter? Jason LaCanfora or Dave Softy Mahler?
Well, I tend to turn my back on the whole Dave Softy Mahler. I don't want to know about the Dave Softy Mahler thing. I sense.
Yeah, Hugh knows about.
I kind of know, but I kind of I don't want to know because it makes me a little uncomfortable. Sometimes I feel like Softy's buddies with the offensive line,
right?
And he's hanging out with the and I like when I hear that I just pretend like I don't know that. I don't want to. I don't. What I don't know won't hurt me with Dave. I don't know what. The truth is I don't know what's going on with Softy and texting members of the Seattle Seahawks. But I'm telling you. If you were sitting with us that night, 2 nights ago, and you were listening to him talk about his relationships with the Orioles, okay, while they were scoring 11 and he's yelling to the guys, hey, attaboy, Trey, give him a high five, shake his hand, attaboy. It was just really kind of weird. The whole thing was kind of it seemed to go beyond
that's why I gave it a
me
74.
going to the game and rooting for my favorite team. I don't know. So, I know that Hugh, might have an idea on all this. No, you're on the wrong thing. It's this one and that one. Try that one. Let's do that. This is what happens when you don't come on time. How about try it?
Are we good?
No, we're not.
No, we're not good.
Oh, you know what? You're right. It's this one because it's the 3-tap.
Does he have the cop button pushed in? Is that it?
I don't. He's got.
I would have to have more information because
more information
on LaCanfora. Yeah, because. It's not a groupie if these guys are friends and they enjoy his communication and they communicate with him. He said he befriended a lot of these guys when they were in minor league ball, right? I don't know that he's ever going up to a superstar at the major league level and trying, to create a relationship. So I don't know. I just would need more information.
Okay. Let me give you some more information.
Softy has a handful of guys in town on the various teams, and I don't know. I think a lot of these guys interacting with the media. Not all of them, but some of them do. And so if you've got over 100 athletes, 150 to 200 athletes, by the time you count the Huskies, 250 athletes, and you got 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 that you communicate with, part buddy, part information and professional, part, whatever. That doesn't surprise me.
Okay. Let me give you one last piece of information on LaCanfora before you guys rule on this. He created I don't know if he did this with you, Slickhawk, but he likes to talk a lot about who's coming up in the Orioles organization. Which which guys are going to be stars. And he kind of, I don't know how to articulate. It's hard to articulate it. Yet had to have been there. But he'll tell you like about these guys in single A that are clearly going to be stars someday. That he makes a point to go see them play and try to and talk to them and shake their hand and get their number and tweet them, because he knows that someday they're going to be an Oriole. And he wants to develop, he's trying to develop the relationship, the friendship, and he wants them to know his kids while they're in single A and double A, because those games they go to those games so that he can cultivate the relationship just in case they become Orioles, and then he's got another guy on the team that he's buddies with.
Sell T-shirts or just
no? That's just to be buddy. That's just to be buddy. To be buddy with. He's got a strategy over which guys he likes to befriend, because he sees stardom on the horizon and he wants to be in with them. So see, because the guys that he's in with, like let's take Trey Mancini, the guy that he loves so much, and he did the T-shirts and he's making money off of Trey Mancini. The Trey Mancini thing started when Trey Mancini was in single A and double A. And he came out of Notre Dame, and he was doing pretty well. They befriended him down there so that they cultivated the relationship. And now that he's up, he knows Jason La Canfora and Jason's kid, and therefore he did the T-shirts. And that's where these relationships start on the farm. They start on the farm. And he's got a strategy as to which guys he wants to befriend and which guys will never make it to the team.
Well, if he has a financial incentive, and he was pretty candid about that yesterday. Hey, man, this is about making money.
He didn't shy away from that.
Agents, I think, probably try and cultivate relationships early and try and.
What would you do if you were a member of the New England Patriots and a fan / media member said to you, I'm going to make T-shirts with Hugh's number on it and your nickname on it, whatever. I'm going to charge $7.50. I mean, they're going to cost me $7.50, and I'm going to sell them for $25. And he just told you, are you okay with that? Would you have been okay with that? Would you have told him not to do that?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think so. Yeah, I would have said no. Let's leave that alone.
Let's leave that alone.
Would he have to get your permission? He wouldn't have to get your permission, right?
I think he kind of does.
Probably does.
He's going to use your name.
Yeah.
He's going to sell something using your name. I think you'd have to have some level.
Boom Boom on it.
It doesn't even have Mancini's name on it.
That's Boom Boom, and it has the positions that he plays on the back.
I don't know. The whole thing.
What if Hughes just said Dewey?
Well, here's the thing. That was fresh off of New England. I get contacted by a football card company. They say, hey, we're doing a different kind of thing. We want to see guys, doing something other than on a field. And whether you're cooking or you're golfing or whatever, and at that time I wasn't golfing yet. And somehow there was this, I said, yeah, I'll do it, fine. And after I had heard the price, these guys in 20 minutes of a photo shoot were going to give me $150,000, $75,000
Whoa.
1 year, and then $75,000 a year.
Wait
later.
a second. Hold.
Is this the one you
hold
did
on
with
a minute.
Elway?
Hold on a minute. I'm confused. They wanted you to do what?
It's a football card.
A football card that involves you
There
doing
was
something
something
outside
other.
of than football. And then they were going to sell the card as part of a series.
Sell the card as part of the
Okay,
series.
I understand.
And and so
they're going to give you that much
and
money.
and
Jeez, how
I
do they
leaned
make money
against
out
a
of this?
rockery.
Yeah.
It's a pretty.
I'd take my clothes off.
It's a. it's a pretty. I don't know, man. I don't know if I can find it on the internet, but it's nothing to be proud of. But I'll tell you what.
Yes, it is. You made
It took me 20 freaking minutes, and and they
What
made
company
good on the
was
money
it?
then. I have no idea. They gave me the money then, and then a year later they gave me the money that they promised. And so,
What do you mean a year later they gave you
They
the
said
money?
it would be $75,000, one photo shoot, leaning up against a rockery, 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
Yeah.
$75,000 on year one, like a week after you do the shoot.
Yeah.
And then
That
a
is
year later,
unbelievable.
a year
Crap.
later, A year later, another $75,000.
Okay, first of all, I don't think that Heidi Klum gets $120,000 for 20
I'm sure
minutes.
I could find the paperwork
That's
somewhere
the
in my
be-
basement.
That's
it.
Here it is.
That's it.
Boy, the internet is a great thing.
Slick Hawk, we're
That's it.
posting
Let me
this.
see it.
thing.
Let me see it.
A hack like me. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's-
Look at how
God is my witness.
handsome
I
you
could
are.
probably
God,
prove it.
he's a devil. Isn't
I
he?
could
Look at
probably
how
prove it.
gorgeous you
Look at
are.
that. And the lighting, it's like sunset.
You were card number 425.
I'm sitting
Isn't
there
that
looking at
funny?
this.
You were card number 425.
425.
That's your area code. That's
That's
your
right,
home
it
area
is.
code.
That's right.
You're code number
I'm sitting there
425.
going,
What does it? Read it.
this
Read it.
is-
Hold on. Read it, Dick.
no,
Can you read it?
no, we're
yeah,
not
it
doing
says,
that.
What? Can you read
Just-
the card?
It's just a
No,
quote
I
from
don't wanna
you.
do it.
Is there
This is
something
what I
on
wanna
the
know.
card?
This is what I want to know from Q.
It's a
To
nice
get that look
paragraph.
on your face,
But
what did
let's
they
just
have
move
you
on.
looking
the
at?
point, it's look. I'm sitting there thinking this is really kind of absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking this is going to take 20 minutes.
This
and
is not
it's
more.
gonna-
This is not absurd.
This is.
It would have been absurd for you to turn it down.
Yeah,
That's
no.
what it would have been.
Yeah,
the
that
height of
would've,
absurdity.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm telling you, Heidi Klum doesn't get $120,000. I mean, $120,000 for
You
for
may be
20
right,
minutes.
But I'm sure I could produce the paperwork to prove it.
That's a $360,000 an hour job.
So,
$360,000
my answer is-
an hour.
That's like John
job.
My
Carlos
answer is
Stanton.
no. If a guy said, "Hey, I want to make
Holy
$9 off a T-shirt, and I'll give you $4," I'm like, I don't need it.
What a quick.
Yeah,
Now, do you have
that-
to share that with Marvin Demoff?
I can buy this card for 99
That was
cents.
clean money.
This is
You
a,
gotta
this is
pay
a, this is
taxes
a
on it.
dollar
Taxes.
card.
Yeah, the median price here, it says 30 cents.
No, it had nothing to do with Marvin Demo.
How did a company
I'm buying it.
selling packs of cards that included Hugh Millen? No offense.
Of course.
Selling packs of cards
Buy it
for
now.
probably 85 cents back then, right? Those packs cost $1 back then. How did it clear money paying each guy $120,000? How many guys were in the pack?
I don't know.
How many
not
guys were in
really-
the set?
424 was Dan Fouts in a sweater.
Well, if he got 120,000, then
What
Dan
did Dan
Fouts got at
Fouts
least
get?
120,000. 150,000.
No, I got
You got under
I got
50,000.
75.
How did they? What was going on there?
I have no idea.
I need pen to paper. I need to see some financials
I don't
on
understand
that.
how they could make money.
There's no way. There's no way if they had all the guys.
All right.
I'm-
We're all getting this card.
We're all getting
Are
this
you
card.
buying
You're
this card
buying
for
the
all
card
of
for
Yeah,
everybody.
I'm getting
Can
us
you
all
just-
three of us.
I like the quote on the
let's
back.
just-
It
What does the
says-
quote say?
Well, he doesn't want me to read it. It's just
it's on the card.
It's
What do
about
you
Can we
the
just move on
fans.
from the card? I don't
Hugh-
want to get into the card.
Hugh,
all
will
right?
you sign this for me?
Stop.
You brought it up.
Well, you brought up, would I have,
Yeah.
gone
And you
in
chose to
on-
bring the life experiences of the card. We just want to
Okay,
read
well,
what's on
all
the
right.
card.
Yeah.
What's on the card? Is it? It's.
I have no idea what's on the card,
Oh,
but
it's
I'd
not.
rather
You're
not
you're
be
worried about me.
surprised on
No,
the
it's-
freaking air.
No. It's not a bad quote. He talks about the fans and what the fans deserve.
All right, go
from
ahead.
the
Read the
players.
damn quote.
Oh,
It
that's not
says,
long.
we're in
That's
the
nice.
entertainment business. We shouldn't lose sight of that. The fans have to be interested in the game. If they're not, we don't have a job. To the extent that I can be candid, the fans deserve the right to hear what's going on out there. I won't criticize a teammate, but if the fans pay good money for a ticket and we lose with 14 seconds to go, when I run out the clock instead of throwing the ball away, as I did last year, they deserve to know why. What happened?
It's a good thing that Jermaine Kearse wasn't on his team.
Yeah. What happened? What happened with 14 seconds to go?
He
I
doesn't
don't-
want to talk about the card.
That's just-
That's probably why he doesn't want to talk. See, you had to bring up the 14 seconds.
As
It was great.
give
It was
me 20 stacks of Bibles, I will say I could not have even got it on a multiple choice. I had no idea it was on that statement.
I think it's a
so
very-
right there.
Nothing bad.
It's very
on the
nice.
statement.
Very nice. I'd like to have a photo shoot for 150 grand.
So,
Show me where you want me to stand. You see those little flowers right there? You want me to
I
stand
know, I
there?
know. That's what I was saying. Like, I mean, that ain't the most masculine of poses on that damn rockery, but I was like, hey,
Estimated
Hugh Breedlove
delivery
Miller,
you want me
August
to put my
23rd.
hand here? I'll put my hand here.
That's great. That's a great way to start the Wednesday edition here at the VMAC. Slickhawk's back in the studio. Dick is here. Hugh Breedlove Millen is here. It's a Wednesday. Got to find out from Hugh what happened at practice yesterday. I guess they started. Did they start 11:25 yesterday? They're going to do the same thing today. That sign on the door, is that for today or was that for yesterday?
I hope it was for yesterday.
I can't figure that out. 6:20 on 950 KJ. We have a very, very busy show, so I got to keep it on the tracks. Hugh, We got to keep it on the tracks. We got Jimmy. We're going to talk Jimmy Graham today. Seahawks at 7 o'clock, 39 minutes away from right now. We'll hear from Doug Baldwin, Daily Schnoz, 2 more training camps and fantasy football tips. The Deer Show, .. We got the poll question today that involves Jimmy Graham. Hughes got something to say at 8 o'clock. Will Suda the elephant make a return to the air?
Awesome.
Hughes got something to say. Suda the painting elephant was yesterday, amongst other things.
You put the bar way up here with that.
Cliff, no, you weren't here for 2 weeks.
Oh, what
you know, don't be a Johnny come. Yeah, every one of them has been good.
Really?
Every one of them has been good. Cliffy Avrill's going to be. I think the media star of the Seahawks could be Cliffy Avril. He's going to be with us live here at 8:15. We got phone polls. We got Pete Carroll. We got great debates. We got 12th Man Roundtable. We've got a very, very busy show. We got to slip in some Mariners talk. They finally got it done, 3-1. They got an unexpected shot in the arm from a left-handed pitcher that they got for cash from the Atlanta Braves last week.
The sapling.
In kind of an off-the-radar trade that nobody even knows about. 22 minutes after 6 o'clock. You know what? Just to put the Hugh Millen rockery photo shoot to sleep here, what we've been talking during the break. It's too bad that nobody standing there with Hugh while he was posing by the rock said, "Hey Hugh, you know what? This is like this money that you just found, this money that you just made for posing next to a rock. You didn't even know that for 20 minutes. You didn't even know you were going to make the money. You had no idea you were going to make the money. This is like putting your jeans in the wash, putting your hand in the pockets to make sure there's nothing in the pockets, and there's a $20 bill. I mean, this was like you never knew you were going to get that. You never planned on making any of this. $150,000. It's like dropping out of the sky for 20 minutes of work. So Hugh, you know what you ought to do? Let's just just put it in this little stock called Microsoft. Put it in this. Just take
it's $1.50 a share.
You didn't expect this money. You don't need this money.
Yeah, you can buy 100,000 shares of Microsoft.
Just buy this little stock called Microsoft in what year did you
1992.
say? 1992. And you did the math on it.
Yeah.
Had he done that, how much would it be worth today?
$7.5 million.
How many other companies could have I invested in and had nothing?
And we had nothing. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, too bad there wasn't a little voice in your ear just telling you what to do. All right, montage and Seahawks at 7 coming up in 31 minutes. Doug Baldwin's press conference. Nice to have Doug Baldwin back after that scare last week with the foot and ankle. Schnoz's and the text poll will go over here at the 6:45. Give everybody a chance to win 50-yard line seats to see the Seahawks and the Cardinals in the final regular season game of the season by answering the poll question. We've got to fine-tune. I like the idea of the poll question, but I think it needs some fine-tuning.
Okay.
And we'll help you do that on the air. Hugh's got something to say at 8 o'clock. Will it be a painting elephant, or will it be something about the Seahawks or football or non-football? Cliff Averill, phone polls, Pete Carroll, great debates, 12th Man roundtables. Here's how it sounded. Finally a win last night at Safeco Field.
Dyson breaking on it, makes the catch. Machado coming home. Here's a throw on one hop. Machado is toast at the plate. What a play by Gerard Dyson.
That was sick.
And played through the left side. That's when both run-scoring hits have found their way through here tonight. Mariners have taken the lead thanks to Gene Segura. 2-1 Mariners on their feet for this 1-2. Check swing. He goes. 20 in a row set down by Mariners pitching to end the game.
How about that? 20 in a row. Wow. I've got a stat for you. I got a baseball stat that I think would even move football man Hugh Breedlove Miller.
Wow,
I got a stat for you.
I don't know about that.
Listen to this stat. You guys probably even know this stat. You probably knew it before I did. I just heard it on the radio broadcast of the game last night. Did you know that this guy, what's this guy's name that pitched last night? Andrew Albers.
Yeah.
They got him for cash last week. They literally bought themselves they went to the store last week. And they're so out of pitchers that they went to the store, the Braves thrift shop in Atlanta, and there was this guy on the rack. He was on the
Ross pitchers for less.
Yeah, Atlanta Braves pitchers for less. And he was sitting there on the rack, He was a left-hand pitcher who happened to be 12-3. I don't know why he was on the rack. He was 12-3 in AAA.
He's 31 years old.
He is 31 years old, and he has been nothing in his few major league opportunities.
Maybe
They just bought him. They brought him in. They threw him out there last night, and he gave him 5 or 6 one-run innings. Do you know he was the 37th pitcher? The 37th different pitcher to throw a major league pitch for the Seattle Mariners. When he tossed out the first pitch that he threw in the top of the first, he became the 37th different person to throw a pitch for the Mariners.
And
now,
16th starter.
The 16th starter. Now, that's just a number to you, and it should be just a number to you. You're like, that sounds like a lot, but I would, okay, how about if I tell you, how about I put it in perspective?
There you go.
Only one team in the history of baseball has ever had more different guys throw a pitch in a season than the 2017 Seattle Mariners, and it's still only August the 16th.
We got 6 weeks left.
The Rangers a few years ago had 40 different guys pitch.
And how'd they do that year?
That's a great question. How they do that year?
I know what year?
I don't know which year it was. 2000 and something. But the Mariners have thrown the second most different pitchers in a season in the history. Now, when you say the history
of baseball,
the history of baseball is different than the history of football. The history of baseball. Think about that.
Yeah.
How far are you going
it
back?
Doesn't have a bunch of qualifiers on it either. Left-handers on Tuesday, all those.
No,
type
now
of
you might say, well, back in the glory days, Mitch, or back in the old days, guys threw 12 innings. Each guy threw 12 innings every start, so you only needed like 4 pitchers the whole year. It was a different day. But still, in the history of baseball, what does that tell you?
So
the 2017 Mariners have thrown more pitchers than everybody except for this odd Texas Rangers team in the 2000s.
I guess the way to really put it in historical perspective would be to say as a percentage of the median for all teams. But
now you're
even if you just said
you're now you're speaking over my head now. You lost me now.
Well, let's say you say the game is transformed.
Yeah,
back in 1920, the average was 8 pitchers per year, and then somebody had 16. That might be different than if the average now is 100 and you got.
I got you.
The average now is 25, and you're getting to 37.
Right. That's right. So, anyway, just something to chew on as you still contemplate that they're a game and a half out of the playoffs, having thrown 36 different pitchers. They're a game and a half out of the playoffs. I mean, think about 36. If I started on opening day, and I said to you, okay, if I said to the person, not you, I said to the person who knows the Mariners farm system, the groupie of the Mariners, the Jason Locken for the Mariners, a guy who knows all about the farm system, and I said, there's going to be 36 pitchers, different pitchers to throw a pitch by August the 16th. Find me 36 pitchers. You would be like, oh my God, 36 pitchers. Right. Okay, I'll start with the 10. How many are on the team at the beginning?
To start.
The 12. I got to find 24 guys.
24 more pitchers.
I got to find 24 more guys in AAA, AA, on other teams and other organizations. I got to find 24 more guys that are going to throw a pitch. You'd say that's impossible. That's absolutely impossible. Yeah. Anyway. I think that's a pretty good.
And
stat.
they won a game with a guy.
I think you realize by now that I think that's a pretty good stat. I really don't. I'm really unimpressed by it. Pete Carroll on Michael Bennett.
We have visited and talked a couple times already. Michael and I go way back. We've had a long time together. We've been spending time working on stuff on and off the field for quite some time and in great depth. And Michael has really dedicated the last few years of his life to try to understand what's going on around the world. He's traveled everywhere to try and understand people's issues and concerns, and it's really captured his heart, and he has really turned his focus to doing good work and helping people and doing everything he can for things that he thinks where he can help, and so I support the heck out of his concerns and his issues and all of that.
I support the heck out of him.
Was there a but, or how did he finish that?
No, we were just making fun of his.
No,
I thought that was pretty elegant by Pete Carroll.
There you go, Pete Carroll. Doug Baldwin reacts to Michael Bennett's protest on the sidelines on Sunday night.
I mean, there's no if you're asking me if there's an issue with it in the locker room, there is none. Again, we operate as a family. And we support our guys in whatever they want to do, whatever endeavors they set out to accomplish and to achieve. And Mike has been always one of those leaders in our locker room. We trust him, And again, he's a highly, highly intelligent individual who didn't just make a decision off the cuff. This is a decision that I know, knowing Mike, that he's taken a lot of time and pride in making. And so as a family within this organization, we fully support what he's done.
Now, if there were a problem in the locker room as a result of Michael Bennett's protest on Saturday night, would Doug Baldwin stand up and say, the locker room is divided, it's pissed? Luke Jokel is damn pissed at Michael Bennett, and I want you guys all to know that.
No, but I don't think he would sound over the top in his.
He would take something off his fastball. He'd take something off his fastball, and if Luke Jokel or anybody else was pissed about it, they'd suppress it. So Doug Baldwin would not be in a position to know.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Rob Ryan speaks highly of the Patriots coach Bill Belichick.
I think Bill Belichick is night and day the best coach that's ever coached. Ever. Now, I never saw Vince Lombardi, but I've heard about some of his speeches. He's by far the most prepared.
Most prepared.
I think with Belichick, he takes everything in consideration. He will paint a picture to his team that if you just execute his plan, it'll work and you'll win.
Rex Ryan.
No, it's Rex Ryan. That's totally Rex Ryan. Why would Rob Ryan – is Rex Ryan out of football and being a broadcaster, now? Why would Rob Ryan still a defensive coordinator somewhere, right?
With the long hair.
Is he? No. He probably got fired along with Rex, didn't he?
Yeah, I guess
he's
right.
There's
pretty remarkable.
My guess is that's
that
Rex Ryan.
sounds like Rex.
Well, they could sound alike.
They're brothers.
Twins. They're twins, aren't they?
You don't just sound like your brother,
No,
though.
that's Rex. That's
Yeah,
right.
you
No
do.
one's asking Rob Ryan about Bill Belichick.
I
It's
think
Rex
twins
Ryan.
can sound alike.
Yes, they can.
And there's a remarkable footage of Malcolm Butler in practice 2-3 days before the Super Bowl. They're practicing the exact play, the fateful interception, and he gets beat. Butler gets beat, and Belichick is over there saying, "Come on, oh, you're killing me," and run it again.
I'm looking at video right now. It was Rob Ryan.
Okay. And, to speak to the preparation, none better example than that.
Okay. Tom Brady on the expectations placed on the shoulders of the Patriots.
It's so far from, those types of things. I mean, you're talking about some incredible teams that I've had the opportunity to be on and very lucky to be on. And this team is so far from where we need to be, and we have so far to go. It's really, unfair to set expectations. It's really a setup for this team. I mean, we need to be focused on so many other things than what people may think about us or say about us. There's so much improvement we need to make.
All right, TD, Terrell Davis, who just got into the Hall of Fame, running back, I'm assuming on the NFL Network, speculates what life in Dallas for the first 6 games will be without Zeke Elliott.
I think they have enough to have an efficient running game. I don't think it's going to be explosive like when Zeke is in there, but I think it's going to be decent enough to where they have some running game.
Hugh Jackson is the coach of the Cleveland Browns, and he's watching all the kneeling during the anthem happening around the NFL, and he's hoping that it doesn't reach Cleveland in his play.
I understand there's a lot going on in the world. I like to just keep it here. What we deal with, we try to deal with as a team in our closed environment. We talk about things, but hopefully that won't happen. I can't tell you it won't happen, but I just know our guys. I don't think that's where our focus is.
And finally, Slick Hawk, Anthony Lynn, a former teammate of Hugh Breedlove Millen, updates Mike Williams' back injury, the wide receiver out of Clemson in Los Angeles, rookie.
Mike's still at least 3 weeks out, and then we'll take it week by week after that. But you saw him out here running last week. He's getting better every single week. So you never know. I don't like to put a timetable on it. It could happen sooner.
I'm not. I appreciate everything about my wife, not just her feet.
That's right.
Just kidding. I had to get to my brother. Had to zing him there.
Hubie, real quick question, and we don't even have time for the answer, so make it a real quick answer. All these guys that you played with that ended up in the coaching ranks, did it cross when you're a young, like 25-year-old, 26-year-old player and you're just playing football with these guys, do you ever stop and think, someday that guy would make a good coach, or that guy's going to be a coach someday? Or does it never even cross your mind which teammates, or you never even think about that?
No, I mean, I certainly could have envisioned Jason Garrett.
You've mentioned that before.
But Ken Wisenhunt, what a surprise.
So you do give it thought. The first answer to the question is you give it
I
thought.
just said would have surprised me.
Would have. Okay, so you never give it thought. You never even think about, okay, that guy will be a coach, or that guy won't be a coach.
I think, there might have been a handful over the course of my career that I thought he seems like a guy who's on the track. Mike McCoy. Mike McCoy. I was in a training camp with Mike McCoy. If you'd have told me he'd be a head coach in the NFL, no.
Moron, huh?
No, but I just.
Well, he was.
See these. McCoy turned down $150,000.
He was probably only in camp for 3 weeks, right? So no, I would have never thought that would have been enough. I think they kind of brought him to camp. You've seen that kind of quarterback. Just bring to camp. I don't know. Did he ever make an active roster?
I don't have any idea. I don't remember McCoy as a player. Anyway, 50-yard line seats to the Cardinals or Seahawks going to be on the line today again, as it is every day. For the listeners of the radio program, you're going to have to answer a Seahawks-related poll question. We're going to refine the poll question and kind of introduce it to you next on 950 KJR. No, wait. I know the no wait went on the air, didn't it?
Yeah.
He said sure first.
People have to be. Are we on now?
Yeah.
Okay. People have to be like,
hello.
When Mitch says no wait, what does that mean? When he said no wait, what's going on over there? Is Hugh posing by rocks, or what's going on? No wait. When he says no wait, what does that mean? What's going on?
We could reenact that photo right here against this wall. Look at the rock, a beautiful rock.
He'd won $150,000 for God. I don't have the $150,000.
You got that?
Yeah.
I'll in against that rock too.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Anywho. So we've got a very busy slate. Greg Bell, of course, in 11 minutes, the Seahawks at 7. We'll find out, and I want to know from you what happened at practice yesterday. I was not at practice yesterday. I was here, but not at practice. We'll talk to Greg Bell about there's lots of different news and notes. There's good news, some surprising news, and I have been really, ever since hearing the news, I have been debating within myself whether I want to go on the air with a topic that might leave me looking bad and is going to be hard for me to articulate my point. So I may just let the whole show go and never say what I really want to say about the biggest news of the day yesterday. The biggest news of the day, the surprise news of the day yesterday was that the wide receiver that got hurt in the first series, who we thought was going to be missed for several weeks and had an AC joint, all of a sudden is healthy enough to be taking some light workouts, some light drills, and now they're saying he's not going to be lost for much time at all. He'll definitely be ready by opening day and probably before, maybe even a preseason game before. I had an immediate reaction to that I have to practice in my mind how I want to say what I want to say. But before we get there, we'll go there with Greg Bell. All the news of the day with some good news from the Seahawks injury report. Let's get into the poll question and have Slickhawk jump in here. Slickhawk has developed the poll question for today. He's got the topic, but I don't think he's got the actual poll question.
All right.
Okay. So I'm going to need Hugh and Dick and myself, and we got to refine the topic into the question. And the topic he sent me last night is Jimmy Graham. Slick wants to know from Seahawk fans what the Seahawks should do as of now or as of the end of the season, what they should do with Jimmy Graham. Express your thoughts, Slickhawk. What do you want to know?
Well, I want to know, Jimmy Graham his contract is going to be up. And
his contract's going to be up,
It's going to cost quite a bit to bring him back. I want to know, just with the level of production that he's given and what we've seen in these last 2 years, and we don't know what this third year is going to bring, but do you want to bring back Jimmy Graham for the cost that it's going to require?
But you're asking that a year before we know.
Why would we want to answer that question?
We want information. See,
Well,
this is the fault. This is the imperfection, the flaw of the poll.
Unless he's saying you could.
Everybody's going to say, "Well, let me see what he does this year." And then I'll give you
maybe
the Seahawks, oftentimes, most times, with their
Sign
stars, sign them a year before their deal is up.
Okay, so they could get a better deal.
So then that's a different question. What? That's a different question. That's a different question. Now you're asking, should they do something today? If Jimmy Graham's the scenario, I think and this is what I was thinking about. The scenario is, okay, what if Jimmy Graham's agent called and said to John Schneider, "We're willing to do something right now for maybe even 75 cents on the dollar, where we don't have to play the year out, and you're not going to, so you only have the information that you have now, or you can roll the dice, and then we go to free agency, and we may or may not sign with you. At that point, we're gonna entertain the best offer and go to the best number. Would you? Maybe that's the poll question. Would you contemplate right now extending Jimmy Graham? Is that what you're asking?
I don't think I'd take out the 75 cents on the dollar.
But you're not going to have to sign him for this. Like, if he has 85 catches for 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns,
right,
he's going to command massive dollars.
Huge money.
Yeah.
Huge guarantee.
Whereas now
money.
you can get him for
right now you can get him probably for 75 cents on the dollar.
I don't believe they
if the what?
I don't believe you could do that. You might be getting able to get him for $1 on the dollar.
So what's the poll? What's the good poll question here with Jimmy Graham? We need to be as specific as we can, and you got 30 seconds to do it. What's the poll question with Jimmy Graham?
Well, I would say should the Seahawks be aggressive in an effort to re-sign Jimmy Graham
now,
before
they see what they get from him this year,
before Jimmy Graham starts lighting it up in September and everybody sees the value. If you get a nice, reasonable, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Let's say a contract commensurate with what he has now,
$10 million at least a year, which will lose you other players, right? Yeah, because
here's the thing. In terms of average per year, Jimmy Graham makes more than any tight end in football, $10 million a year. No other tight end makes that right now. Now, Gronk's going to get paid here in the next year or two. So you might want to jump on it now. It's not going to cost you that much more because they look at contracts that are already there. And so if it's money you're already paying to them, which they are, it's not really going to do much to you. You're already paying that amount. You're going to give them a little bump probably, but not very much.
Yeah. Well, I think you're focusing on the wrong thing with a guy of Jimmy Graham's age. It's not going to be a cost per year situation for him. It's going to be guaranteed money. The whole next contract for Jimmy Graham at his age is going to be about how much upfront and how much guaranteed money am I getting as opposed to my average salary.
I think enough Seahawks fans have looked at Jimmy Graham's contributions. They kind of have a sense of the money that it entails and the opportunity cost of spending the money. I think that if you have somewhat of a nebulous question, I think you're basically saying, are you favorably or unfavorably disposed towards Jimmy Graham in the future, with the understanding that it costs a lot of money to retain Jimmy Graham?
What does that cost? I mean, you got to quantify that because you got to say, okay, it's going to cost you another play.
But the salary cap
it's easy to spend somebody else's money. That's an easy question. If I'm a Seahawks fan and I don't have to contemplate the real cost, which is if the cost is just dollars, a Seahawks fan is going to say, yeah, of course, we want him back. But if you say to him, it's going to cost dollars, which is going to cost you another player. There's some player you're not going to be able to sign, maybe on defense.
I'm not saying knowing it may cost you less if you do it now.
Because it's a no-brainer if you don't attach some consequence to signing him up right now. It's a no-brainer for a Seahawks fan.
Why would it
Paul
cost
Allen's
you?
money, sure, give him whatever he wants. I want Jimmy Graham back.
Why would it cost you another player when you're already paying it?
Yeah, I don't think it would cost you another player. And the salary cap will go up.
Well, you're going to have to pay some guys. Some guys are going to come due, and Earl Thomas may up me. There's going to be some. Justin Britt.
Got to be some consequences.
Justin Britt is going to come up. Let's say Justin Britt has another solid. Let's say he's 5 or 10% better than he was a year ago. Justin Britt's going to command a lot of money.
But I think a lot of Seahawks fans would say, no, don't sign him now. I got to see if this guy's even going to be the real Jimmy Graham.
Okay, we're going to do a Jimmy Graham
you can
question.
Even phrase it this
we're going to
way, out of a pool of money, if you can only re-sign one guy and you have to do it today, is it Jimmy Graham or Justin Britt?
Okay, it'll be a Jimmy Graham-related question that we're going to ask the Seahawks fans and give you a chance to win 50-yard line seats to the Seahawks-Cardinals game at Game 16. We got to go. Got to get to the Seahawks at 7. Greg Bell always joins us, top of the 7 o'clock hour, gives us the news and the notes, and they're good for a change. Good news, good notes from Seahawks training camp on 950 KJR. 7 o'clock on 950 KJR. We're getting ready for the Seahawks at 7 with Greg Bell. He's going to tell us everything that happened at practice. Mostly good news. I was corrected during the break.
Yes, you were. There was noticeable.
By Nanook of the North, I was corrected. If you saw Dick Fain, Slickhawk, you would have a field day with this because you would say he's complaining without complaining.
Okay.
If I shared with you a picture right now of Dick Fain.
You have that ability.
Because, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
Ooh, she was savvy.
Okay. We almost had a disaster
Great
there.
move right around.
Literally a great move?
Yeah. A great move around the grave.
If I would, because Slickhawk has got the radar up for anything that Dick Fain says that even resembles a complaint for being here. As soon as he says anything on or off the air, Slickhawk just pounces.
Just jumps right on me.
So if I just showed you a picture of him right now, you would say, okay, that's a complaint.
It's a nonverbal complaint.
That's a nonverbal complaint. If I showed you a picture of, look at him, look at you, look at Slick, look at him. You'd think he's in freaking Alaska right now. Look at him. It's unbelievable. You would think that he's in Vail.
I am barely warm enough. Barely.
All you need out
You're
there.
You're wearing a park that could go to the top of Mount Everest.
I got my North Face on, baby.
Oh, jeez.
A light jacket is all you need.
Okay, hold on a second. This is terrible radio, but let's just, okay, hold on.
All
I'm not,
you need
and
is
I'm
a
not
light
I'm not technically very sound here, but
God.
I'll try this. Oh, what a minute. It's me.
How about the sweatshirt?
I don't want me.
Flip it around.
I don't know how to flip it
around. Hit the button with the arrows.
I just got a tree. I don't know how to do this.
Was it a sapling?
I don't know. I don't want a selfie. I hate that. I don't want to see me.
You got to flip it around.
I don't know how to flip it around.
There's a little thing, a little you push has little arrows.
That's the intelligent thing you've said all morning.
I don't know how to flip.
You don't want you.
Here we go.
There it is.
Here it is. No, don't smile. He's miserable.
You look miserable. Complain in your face. You have a complaining face.
Okay, I'm going to tweet this out.
Please,
on.
Is it really that cold?
No.
You got to see. It's August. You got to see this guy.
Why would I be wearing this if I wasn't cold?
All you need is a
If
light,
I was hot, I would take my parka off.
a light parka.
Can you ski? Are you able to ski?
A light jacket is
I don't
all
like
you
being
need.
cold.
I'm just going to write.
I don't have any body fat.
All right, I just tweeted out. Slickhawk.
now you get
Go
that
to my
there.
Twitter. Go to
You're taking
KJR Mitch.
shots.
Yes, I am.
Go to my Twitter, Slickhawk.
Yeah.
Go to my
There was
Twitter.
a little
and see.
shot in there.
Yeah, there was.
All you fat asses would be cold too if you were in shape like me. I see how he worked it.
Go to my Twitter.
I see how he worked it.
Oh, boy.
I see how he worked it.
No, there was only one.
He's a friggin' Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man.
There was only one fat ass I was directed at.
I got it.
Look at that picture,
Are you
Slickhawk.
effing kidding me?
And I feel good. Today I feel good. Yesterday I was
Look at
cold
that picture.
because I just had my shell on yesterday. Let me see it.
Put some freaking goggles on him. He's gonna hike Everest.
Hey, at 2 a.m. he's going to wake up and he's going to summit K2 with a headlamp.
What the hell?
It's August the 16th. It's going to be 90 today.
And when it's 90, I won't be here and I won't be wearing this.
Oh, my God.
You say James Paxton is soft.
Oh.
Good God, man.
Oh yeah, there's no question. I am.
This is one of the wimpiest pictures I've ever seen.
When it comes to cold,
look at that.
I cannot stay
God
warm.
almighty.
I cannot stay
All
warm.
right, we're getting to the Seahawks at 7 in a second. If you want to see how Dick Fain is dressed here on this August 16th day, go to my Twitter at KJR Mitch. It's got to be. If you don't get a laugh, what does you say? If you don't get a laugh out of this or a chuckle out of this, you got to look in the mirror. Okay, you got a problem. If you don't think this is somewhat funny, then look in the mirror. You gotta readjust your sense of humor. Mariners got a shot in the arm from newly acquired Andrew Albers last night beat the Orioles 3-1. First M start for the left-hander. 5 innings pitched, 6 hits. They'll go with Ubaldo Jimenez versus Marco Gonzalez, and I'll be there today with the boys at 12:40 today. A Ken Griffey Jr. Major League Baseball record, and Don Mattingly and Dale Long also, but a prestigious record is being threatened. Did you know this?
Oh, who's got
Giancarlo Stanton.
How many's he got?
6 games in a row with a home run.
Needs 2 more, huh?
Try this on out for size, ladies and gentlemen. He's got 44 home runs. He's got, do the math on this, 23 home runs in his last 35 games. He's got 11.
That's a 100 home run pace for a year.
Listen to this. He's got 11 in his last 12 games. 11 home runs in his last 12 games, 23 in his last 35.
And he's available to the highest bidder.
And you beat me to the you stole my thunder again.
Know.
He does it every time from his parka. He is available. He cleared waivers. He's available to be traded. He can be traded, but when you acquire him, just buyer beware. You're acquiring a 13-year, $325 million contract.
Well, there's 10 left on it. There'd be 10 left on it for $29 million a year. Well, you signed a guy for 10 years, $24 million a year that isn't as good as Giancarlo Stanton.
Well, is he? I mean, Giancarlo Stanton is a great home run hitter.
Yeah.
What else is he?
Well, he hits. I mean, what's his average?
I mean, is he a winner? Is Giancarlo Stanton a winner? I would suggest to you that I know that we could have a debate about this for a long time. Robinson Cano is more of a winner than Giancarlo Stanton. But okay. NFLPA officially appeals Cowboys running back Zeke Elliott's 6-game suspension. Hearing date August 29th. The Honorable Roger Goodell presides. And Eagles cut veteran running back Ryan Matthews to save $4 million. $4 million against
Robinson
the cap.
Cano what?
All right.
Very happy with how things have turned out through the offseason and getting our guys together.
Live from the VMAC.
Wilson going to run. Diving for the end zone. He's in.
This is the Seahawks at 7 with Mitch in the morning.
Touchdown, Seahawks.
He's hitting 285. The 376 on base percentage.
This is the Robinson
awesome
Cano
hitter.
who's been on a 500 team for the last 7 years and can't find a way to even jog through to first base on a ground ball.
Okay, I'm not going to start with you.
Okay,
don't start with me on Robinson.
I'll take Giancarlo Stanton in a
I'll
heartbeat.
give you the
well,
smooth part. Your take on the
Robinson
smooth
Cano.
part. But
smooth.
somebody who you're gonna jump
Stop.
into Robinson
We're not
Cano?
discussing Robinson Cano. Okay? Did you hear what I said? We're not
Get
discussing.
him, you. Get him.
I'm the
Sick
trap.
him.
We might
I'm
at 8
the
o'clock.
trap. I'm the traffic.
We might at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I love when they do
We
this.
might at 8 o'clock.
When they do this, they do this as if
They rope us off.
as people are flocking to come disturb us while we're doing our radio show.
Hold them back.
Like disturbing us.
Yeah.
Like it's like a Mick Jagger, for God's sakes. All right. Greg Bell is with us with the Seahawks at 7. He's our Seahawks insider. He's with us each and every morning at this time, and it's great to have him. He was our eyes at practice yesterday. You got a little surprised, didn't you? Surprise. What did Gomer Pyle say? Surprise, surprise, surprise. You got a little surprise yesterday, didn't you, Greg?
I did. I thought we were going to talk winter fashions, but okay, we'll talk about what happened to the Seahawks yesterday.
Have you seen the Dick Fane picture?
I just looked at it. Yeah.
And there's a jacket underneath the jacket.
Oh God, is he funny?
I got the hooded sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And then I got a Nike thing underneath that.
God,
and then I got a T-shirt underneath that.
What's
so I
the
got
gray
1,
thing?
2, the gray thing.
It's the lining.
Oh no, yeah, and I got a shell too.
Oh God.
So I got 5.
He's got 5 layers
we're
on
not,
him.
That's great. We're not all climbing K2 this afternoon, so
No,
good on him.
Tell everybody about the surprise yesterday. For you.
Paul Richardson showed up. Not only showed up at the practice field, he practiced 2 days after it was doom and gloom from Pete Carroll that he may miss the beginning of the season, may go deep into the regular season, many weeks. He was legitimately hurt with a shoulder sprain, AC joint, and Richardson's out there catching passes. So Carroll said definitely he's going to be ready for the opener, judging by the fact he's already back. And they're going to take it slowly, and I don't think he's going to play Friday in the exhibition against Minnesota. Some of it could be guys that he doesn't want to have the tag of often injured and a malingerer and can't stay on the field. This is a contract year for Richardson. His rookie contract is ending, and he knows that he has slid into a chance to make some real ground in this offense, the way he played at the end of last season, the catches he made a touchdown catch in the Detroit game. He really stepped in when Tyler Lockett was down. Lockett still didn't play on Sunday coming off the PUP list, so Richardson's chance to build momentum from last year is now, and I think he knows that.
I don't know if I want to go here. Because I'm going to get fried for these remarks, and half because I don't know that I can articulate how I feel. I know how I feel, but getting the words out is going to be difficult for me. But I'll give it a go to Hugh and to Dick and to Greg. So he's practicing yesterday, which if the medical report was such, the exam, whatever X-rays or MRIs or whatever they do, was such that the Seahawks thought he was on harm's way to practice yesterday, they wouldn't have let him practice, right? So this was a threshold thing. And they came out and said it's going to be a while for Paul Richardson until he comes back. And now he's back yesterday. So what are we really saying? What were they saying before he decided to come back yesterday? He decided that I feel good enough to play, so they let him play yesterday on some limited basis, right? So, and I know I'm overanalyzing this like I always do. What are we saying about what was the original plan for him not to be there for a few weeks and maybe threaten opening day when whatever the exam was, the exam was? Do you understand my question, Greg? What are we saying here about Paul Richardson?
Well, that his pain threshold is higher than maybe the Seahawks thought it was, for one thing. And the second thing, when they go into the locker room, and especially this is a mitigating circumstance, it's in a soccer stadium, not an NFL stadium, but every NFL stadium has X-ray machines. They don't have MRI machines. So you have to go off-site. They're not going to have a determination based on a magnetic resonance imaging exam to see exactly what the structure of the shoulder looks like. They do have X-rays to make sure the shoulder isn't broken or there isn't any bone fragments or anything. But they don't have a complete conclusive report after a game because they haven't, unless they've already sent the guy to the hospital. Now, I don't know what the facilities are at StubHub Center in an MLS soccer stadium, but I do know it's the U.S. soccer team's headquarters. They have a locker room there and a facility and training center inside the building. So what I'm trying to say is they may not have known the entire extent of the injury. They just took it on both the pain threshold and the fact that at the time he couldn't raise his hand above arm above his head.
Hugh, I know that you had a similar type of injury. Yeah. Do you understand what I was just trying to say, or did I lose you? Probably. I
think you're a little bit veiled right now, and I think you got to come a little bit more direct. Just what's your theory?
Saying he's like James Paxton. I'm
just saying we're always told that never question a guy's injury. You know, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on with the guy's body, and it's a slippery slope because you don't really know things. But then I hear he's going to be out for a while, and then he comes back. Well, why was he going to be out for a while, and why did he come back? And is a lot of this stuff, whether it's football or baseball, just based on a guy's toughness? Do we get certain times you're just medically not cleared to play, right? Yeah. So let's throw those times out the window. Is there a bigger group of sample size, I guess is what I'm asking, of instances in sports where guys either play or don't play based on whether they can tough it out and be on the field? And in yesterday's case, did Paul Richardson decide, I can tough it out? Is he one of these gray area? Is this one of those instances where he decided, I can tough it out, and I'm going to go out and play on the field? Does that make sense to you?
I just don't know why you're hesitant.
He also may have taken an injection to get through the pain. Okay. I've had this injury. You have you have your collarbone, starts at your SC joint in the middle of your chest, goes to the top of your shoulder, and when it separates, it pops off of that joint, and you have grade 1, then grade 2 is more severe, grade 3, and grade 2s, you've got torn ligaments. The bone is, you can see it in the X-ray. Greg, listen, I'm not an expert on this, but my experience, I don't think you need an MRI. I think the X-ray tells you substantively what you need to know with respect to an AC sprain, which is also commonly called a separation, which is different than a dislocation, which is Mel Gibson in the movie, whereas his humerus, which is
lethal weapon.
Right.
Yeah.
So the separation is different than the separation is that collarbone popping off the top of your shoulder, and it can be exacerbated more. If you have a grade 1, the ligaments are loose, you are more likely to sustain a grade 2. If you're at a grade 2, you are more likely to sustain and have a grade 3. And so you've got those issues, and then you've also got pain tolerance. And pro football players will take injections certainly in a game, and they will take injections in practice to get through. So there's a few issues that you're probably shuffling around and trying to take into consideration what's the best course of action.
The fact that you were able to throw in a reference of the universally tolerant Mel Gibson is an unbelievable example of radio ship. Good job.
Radio ship.
Bring in
your favorite,
my favorite guy, Mel Gibson. Hey, so that was good news, right, Greg? Some surprising, fairly surprising, not so good news with a linebacker of the Seattle Seahawks.
KJ Wright is away from the team. We noticed it early in practice. I said, well, where's 50? And turns out he's away from the team, out of town, Pete Carroll says, for a, quote, process for a nagging knee injury. Now, the last time, I don't have to remind you guys, the last time we heard about a process for a nagging knee injury, we had a wide receiver in Switzerland a few years ago.
Sydney.
There is no evidence that KJ Wright's gone Sidney Rice's route to Europe for this, but Pete Carroll said it's not a surgery. He also said he's going to be gone this week for this, inferring that he'll be back next week. And this is the kind of stuff that they take care of now in August rather than let it go to September, October, and you miss games. So no indication it's a serious injury, but it sounds like it's not surgery. That's what it isn't surgery, according to Carroll. I specifically said, do you have surgery? And he said no. So,
okay. Seahawks insider Greg Bell, Tacoma News Tribune, with us each and every day at this time with the Seahawks at 7. So who gets, whenever a starter goes away for a process to the Swiss slopes and wears Dick Fane's garb over there, this opens up opportunity for some other linebackers that our listeners may not be incredibly familiar with that are going to get opportunities to really strut their stuff this weekend and beyond. Tell us about those guys.
That would be Terrence Garvin. Yesterday he was the weak side linebacker, 52 in blue on Friday night. He got him in the offseason, former Washington Redskin and Pittsburgh Steeler, mostly special teams guy. He was doing some starting in OTAs and minicamp, starting defense at strong side linebacker along with Michael Wilhoit. Yesterday it was Wilhoit at strong, Garvin at weak, and Bobby Wagner in the middle in base defense. So it remains to be seen if he's an every down type of guy that could, if Wright was gone for an extended time, could play on every down, including nickel like Wright does. I suspect they don't know that yet because they haven't seen him play much at weak side. But Friday night against Minnesota, I'd expect to see Garvin the guy there.
Okay. And Garvin, for everybody's knowledge, FYI, was the guy that was racing down the field trying to cover a speedster wide receiver on like an 80-yard touchdown catch on Friday, leaving Hugh Millen shaking his head. Why are we in a defense where a linebacker's racing down the field?
I said, well, where's the safety?
Yeah, where's the safety?
I'm not asking Junior Seau to run 40 yards down when he's got an underneath zone responsibility.
Right.
Yeah, that was Tedrick Thompson, who was rookie safety, who messed that coverage up and didn't react quickly enough to Benjamin coming across the middle. And, yeah, everyone on TV says, whoa, Garvin got beat. Well, Garvin's not supposed to cart him 40 yards down the field in his zone defense.
Yeah, that would be like Slickhawk trying to cover me. Okay, so as we leave you, is there any other news and notes, any other observations, any other standout performances, stars of the practice yesterday, or guys that didn't do so very well? I got 45 seconds for you, Greg. Tell me what you saw yesterday.
Offensive line du jour, we have to talk about Mark Lewinsky. Mark Lewinsky was the starting right guard yesterday instead of Oday Abushi, who had started in Los Angeles. So every day a different matchup. Ethan Posick, for the first time, was in the team scrimmage at right guard, which is now starting to hint at his versatility of tackle, guard, and center. He's now played all three of those positions in the last week in scrimmaging.
Right.
He played second-team guard during the Chargers game the other night. And I would say Friday you're not going to see the same exact protest that you saw during the national anthem at Los Angeles. I think Doug Baldwin may join Bennett. The team is going to talk about it. Baldwin's going to go to Carroll and ask what they're going to do about it, but I don't think it's going to be Bennett sitting and 89 guys doing something else on Friday.
Greg, great stuff. We'll see you out here at 9:30. Thanks so very much.
Yes, sir. Thanks,
all right. Greg Bell, our Seahawks insider. Seahawks at 7, Tacoma News-Tribune. Seahawks insider Greg Bell gets you updated on the news of the morning right at 7 o'clock every morning all the way through the football season on 950 KJR. You know what the Daily Schnoz means at training camp. 2 more training camp visits. We'll get profiles of 2 more teams and fantasy football advice
Whose idea was
from
that?
each and every site.
Is that your idea, Slickhawk?
I will not say. That comes up next on 950 KJR plus Deer Show at 7:45.
This NFL Training Camp Edition.
Le'Veon Bell does have an understanding of when he will probably show up.
Look, it's complicated. It's a business decision.
Not only does he want to be the highest paid receiver, but the highest paid player in the league.
Powered by Michael's Toyota of Bellevue, with a service department that's open 7 days a week. It's truly all about you at Michael's Toyota of Bellevue.
So what did we decide our poll question is?
I don't think we did.
We didn't decide.
I mean, we have 5 different options.
Should the Seahawks
I like the either or.
attempt to extend Jimmy Graham right now? Should the Seahawks attempt to extend Jimmy Graham's contract right now, or should they wait it out, knowing it could cost them a lot of money to do it?
I think you just got to keep it concise, because are you going to really be that wordy in the poll question?
No, I'm just saying there's your two. It's an A or a B. They either attempt to extend him right now, not knowing what they're going to give, what's behind door number 1, or they play it out. See, I get you. There's right there. It's right there. It's right there. Hit the button. Or do they play it out and then just see how it goes, and if they like what they see, get into the bidding with all the other teams come the end of the season? It's A or B. That's pretty simple. It's not nebulous. It's pretty simple. That's going to be the question at 7:45 and 8:28 today in the Deer Show. All right. Where are we going? Teresa Walker first?
Yes.
In Nashville, Tennessee?
Yes.
Tennessee Titans camp. I would think Marcus Mariota is the star of the show. Give us 2 or 3 storylines around the Titans that we might be interested in, Teresa.
Well, good morning, Mitch. Marcus Mariota, healthy. The biggest thing about him this season is going to be how much does he grow as a quarterback. He finished 10th last year with a 95.6 passer rating. He has a lot more weapons. That was a big focus for the Titans. That'd be number 2. Corey Davis, rookie, was the number 5 pick overall. Right now he's dealing with a hamstring issue, but they're being cautious with him. They also signed Eric Decker after the offseason program, and they drafted a kid named Taywan Taylor. So he has a lot of people to throw to. The secondary is probably the 3rd area to watch. They were 30th against the pass last year, 2nd against the run. If this defense is going to get up into at least the middling pack of the NFL, they have to be better against the run. Totally revamped the secondary. Logan Ryan from the New England Patriots. They drafted Dory Jackson of Southern Cal at 18. So we're going to see a lot different secondary. Can they be better? Wait and see.
What's the overall outlook of that division? I know that Andrew Luck is not. He's the most important single figure in that division has got to be Andrew Luck, and he's not practicing due to injury. It's going to be a bit before he gets back on the field. How would your eyes handicap that AFC South with all these teams vying for the title?
Well, here's the thing. The Tennessee Titans are the one team with a healthy quarterback that has proven himself over the last 2 seasons. You know, Andrew Luck, we all know what he can do, but he has to be healthy. We haven't seen him recover yet from that shoulder surgery, and we don't know when he's going to be back on the field. Is he there for the opener? Is he there? You know, Jim Irsay himself said a few days ago it could be September 20th. So we don't know, and, you know, let's face it, the Colts backups aren't exactly, you know, impressing anyone anymore, and Matt Hasselbeck is in TV these days. He's not on that depth chart anymore. So in Jacksonville, Blake Bortles, you know, for the signs that he shows that he's improving, he has the practice where he throws 5 interceptions. And I think many people saw the video yesterday where his own receivers kind of fussing at him, throwing out of bounds. And in Houston, they like Deshaun Watson, but right now Tom Savage is the starter, a guy who has proven, you know, hasn't been able to prove that he can stay healthy on a regular basis. So if you look at that, you know, you got to have a quarterback in the NFL, and right now the Titans feel pretty confident with what they've got in Mariota.
Okay. Last question. So does it look like an 8-win Titans team? Does it look like a 9-win Titans team? What's your expectations just based on early signs, Teresa?
Mitch, they went 9-7 last year with a slow start in a new offense with Terry Rubisky and Mike Mularkey. That comfort level is now there, baked in with a whole offseason together with new receivers. I think they're going to be able to improve on 9-7. Is it 10-6?
Wow.
Is it 11-5?
Wow.
Wait and see. But
wow.
They start the season September 10th against Oakland. That's a very tough opener.
Wow, boy, a Titans team that's 10-6 or 11-5. Hard to close your eyes and kind of imagine that. Before you go, I have to ask the required fantasy football question of each and every training camp. So, outside of the obvious guys, Marcus Mariota being one of them, who are the skilled position players on the Titans that our fantasy football league players that are listening to this right now may want to consider in the middle of the late rounds, Teresa?
Definitely Eric Decker, maybe Delaney Walker. Remember, Marcus Mariota has 33 touchdowns in the red zone, has yet to be intercepted. So those two guys are going to be go-tos in the red zone. Okay.
Teresa Walker joining us from Nashville, Tennessee on the Titans. Thank you, Teresa. 7:33 on 950 KJR. Another visit to another training camp and some more fantasy advice, too. Dear show, ... in just about 11 minutes from right now, your opportunity to answer the poll question, which is, would you like the Seahawks to try to extend Jimmy Graham's contract? It would be expensive now before they enter into the final season of his deal. Or do you just roll the dice, let him play it out, and then enter the bidding just like other teams will be? And if he has a huge year, you probably are priced out of the market at that particular point, and he goes somewhere else. How would you handle Jimmy Graham, I guess, is the poll question of the morning. We'll take your text at 49451. That's the Heritage Distilling text line at 49451. And any other questions or comments that you have for Hugh Millen and the boys. Okay, where are we going next, Slickhawk? We're going to John. Okay. John Michael Vincent, Indianapolis Colts training camp. What's the latest on Andrew Luck, the most important central figure of the AFC South? John Michael Vincent.
Yeah, he's still trying to work back. I got some information yesterday where I know that he was in a progressionary type of thing where he started out throwing tennis balls and he was going to work his way up. And this is like the last 3 or so weeks: tennis balls, baseball, softballs, many footballs, and footballs. And I thought what Jim Irsay said, honestly, on Sunday after that first preseason game, if you can get through all where he was going and weaving and bobbing and going down different paths and not, sounding definitive about things, I think what you did gather out of it, he was kind of preparing Colts fans for what could be week number one without Andrew Luck. I was told that worst-case scenario for Luck is missing weeks 1 and 2. That is worst case, and I was told this 2 weeks ago. Now, yesterday I was told that Andrew Luck is indeed right now throwing an NFL ball down the field with touch. He's doing that now, which I think for a lot of people around here doesn't sound like that much to a lot of folks, but for people around here that have heard nothing but doom and gloom for the past 3, 4, 5 months, that, I think, is a good sign. Now, I don't know if that's going to mean that he's going to be ready week 1 because there is so much you have to overcome. You got to keep in mind that also going through all this process, if at one point in time he develops any type of discomfort or any type of pain, they're going to shut him down. Right. They're going to shut him down, and they're going to live right now with what Tolstein and Morris and others can get.
Okay. Can the Colts defense stop anybody this year?
I think they'll stop people better than they did a year ago. I don't know really what that's going to mean. I mean, yeah, they'll be better than they were last year. I still have questions whether they're going to be able to get after the quarterback with any regularity. I would doubt that. That's a problem for their secondary. They're banged up in the secondary. They're going with youth. They have Hooker. You got Quincy Wilson, which were their first and second round picks in that secondary. And no Clayton Geathers. He's on the PUP and maybe won't play ever again with that neck injury. So a lot of questions there. They're going to be better than last year. How much better, though? I don't know. I don't look for them being that much better, but certainly better because they were terrible last year.
Assuming Luck is healthy for all 16 games, are the Titans the favorite in that division? And What does this look like to you? Does this Colts team look like an 8-win, a 9-win, a 10-win football team or not?
I think they look like, with luck, I think they're around 8 or 9. I think the Titans will win. I pick the Titans to win at least 10 or 11 games. I really like what John Robinson's done with that group. So I think he's put together a solid team. And, yeah, the Colts are not going to win the division in 2017.
Okay. And fantasy football league question of the morning for you in Indianapolis. Some guys, some not so obvious guys, maybe a little bit off the radar for middle or late rounds for our fantasy football league players out there. Skill position guys for the Colts.
Well, here's one. Robert Turbin, you guys know very well from Seattle. I think he's probably going to get the ball in maybe close to the goal line situations. He might get some touchdowns for you. T.Y. Hilton's always good to lean on. And one guy in Dante Moncrief, if he can stay healthy, you look at Dante Moncrief at wide receiver, and again, all this is also surrounding Andrew Luck, whether or not he's going to play an extended period of time or going to be lost for a while, whatever. Dante Moncrief is another guy that's out there trying to prove something. I think that'd be, I think, a good player for somebody to lean on right now at the skill position.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much. Indianapolis Colts training camp featured on the Daily Schnoz, and there's your two stories on 950 KJR.
Well, that's the news. I'm out of here.
The Daily Schnoz, brought to you by Michael's Toyota of Bellevue on Sports Radio 950 KJR.
49451, the Heritage Distilling text line. Your opportunity to shoot us a text, either answer the poll question, which is, what would you do with Jimmy Graham? Would you approach him right now? He looks primed to have a big season. Would you approach him right now to extend him? Or would you just play it out, roll the dice, and if he has a big season, he becomes more and more expensive and maybe less and less likely to return to the team? That's the dilemma that you have as Seahawks fans. Play General Manager John Schneider right now on 950 KJR, 49451. Don't forget, we are 21 minutes away from Hughes Got Something to Say. Is he going to talk about a painting elephant on 950 KJR?
Good morning. If you're leaving Olympia, heading into Tacoma, it's a 1-hour travel time right now. The Valley Freeway heavy out of Kent, bumper to bumper through Renton. Westbound I-90, your slower bridge as we recover from an earlier stall. Northbound 5 heavy approaching 516, and then you're just dragging along Mid-Boeing Field. This report brought to you by the Museum of Flight. Enjoy Seattle's summer sun under acres of shade and air conditioning. Fly drones, watch 3D movies, hitch their new Apollo exhibit, and see the solar eclipse with them and NASA on August 21st. Details at museumofflight.org. I'm Emery Martin. That's Sports Radio 950 KJR traffic.
Hey, Dick Fain here at the Ram. One of their most popular beers is back on tap. In conjunction with Ales for ALS, the Ram is again partnering with them and has brewed their IPA for ALS beer. This small batch seasonal release is flavorful, aromatic, and it's brewed with the exclusive hop blend from Loftus Farms in Yakima. While it lasts, with each pint sold, $1 donated for research to help find a cure. Last year, the Ram raised over $15,000. A great beer for a great cause. Come in for a frosty IPA for ALS today. To find out more, check out theram.com.
The Michaels Automotive Group has grown. Since 1994, Michaels Toyota of Bellevue has been serving the East Side. Well, now the family includes Michaels Volkswagen and Subaru as well. The Michaels promise that puts the customer first now covers Toyota, Volkswagen, and Subaru. It's not the offers that sets Michaels apart from other dealerships. It's how they take your needs and build an ownership experience that is individually created for the life that you live. The new Michaels Automotive Group at the Eastgate exit off of I-90 for the life you live. Donate and save at Gold Mountain Golf Club all month long. Bring in new or unused school supplies when you check in for your next round and receive 10% off your green fee and a special discount for September. All school supplies will be donated to the Bremerton School District, so book your next tee time online at goldmountaingolf.com and donate to save. Gold Mountain Golf Club, where champions have won, and so can you.
InMedix is a Seattle biotech startup using elite professional athlete technology to explore an entirely new way to fight rheumatoid arthritis and other autoimmune diseases. They're hosting the first InMedix charity golf tournament to benefit Seattle Children's Hospital Rheumatology. For $100, join the 1 p.m. shotgun start and barbecue dinner at the Rainier Golf and Country Club on Monday, the 28th of August. 100% of all player fees and checks go towards helping children with arthritis. Tournament information can be found at inmedix.com. Spelled INMEDIX.
Oh, O'Reilly.
Meet
Need auto parts? Get them with a click at the new O'ReillyAuto.com. Shop online and we'll ship the order to your home, or you can pick them up for free at the O'Reilly Auto Parts store nearest you. The choice is yours. Shop the way that's convenient for you and get the exact parts you need to get the job done right. O'ReillyAuto.com. Parts for your car wherever you are.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. I can't stand losing. I can't stand losing. I can't stand losing you. I can't stand losing you.
Misplaced your debit card? Turn it off in the Wells Fargo app. When it turns up, turn it back on. Just another way we're building better every day.
I can't stand losing you.
Lost or stolen debit cards must still be reported. See app for details. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
At 24 Hour Fitness, we have workouts to suit every side of you. Yoga for your inner guru, treadmills for your inner track star, dance classes for days you want the spotlight, and high-intensity circuits when you're fired up to get things done. And since our studio classes are included with membership, you can take whatever you want at no extra cost. So whether you're feeling fierce or simply finding your flow, make every side of you happy by joining the club today. Facilities, classes, and amenities vary. Not all clubs open 24 hours.
20 years ago, Gregor lent some CDs to a techno musician friend who sampled them on his album. The album went platinum, but the CDs were never returned. And that musician who borrowed them was Moby. Gregor doesn't want credit or riches. He just wants his CDs back. Say I'm Moby, like how would you ask?
Hey Moby, can I have back those CDs?
Click here to listen to the Heavyweight Podcast for this and other stories of regret and second chances.
Riding a motorcycle isn't just about what you ride, how you look, or your destination. It's about freedom and adventure. Once you start, it becomes a part of who you are. It gets in your blood. But a word of caution. If you dilute your blood with alcohol and get on your bike, well, you've lost it. Because that's not riding. That's just being stupid. Alcohol slows your reflexes and coordination. And police notice these things. So remember why you ride. Because if you don't ride sober, you will get pulled over.
With Zillow, you're not just looking for a house. You're looking for the bathroom where you'll give your kids shampoo mohawks. The bonus room you'll turn into a gym and work out in every day. Starting tomorrow. You're looking for hardwood floors worthy of your signature dance move, the glitchy robot.
You're not just looking for a house. You're looking for a place for your life to happen. And whether buying or renting, Zillow makes it easy with smart search features, photos, and more. Zillow, find your way home.
Progressive presents Mindflowness with Flo.
You are in the driver's seat, in complete control, in life and on the road. Your driving record is impeccable, and for this, you are greatly rewarded with Snapshot from Progressive. You use your savings to buy a World's Best Driver t-shirt. It runs a little small.
The more righteous you drive, the more you can save with Snapshot from Progressive. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in all states or from all agents.
Letters, oh we get letters. We get your letters every day. Mailman, mail today. Reach right in and pull one out.
Here comes a lot of shirts.
We got three carts coming.
Three carts coming.
Three carts headed right to the grave.
Okay, let's just see what's going on. And I think we see some new people. Let's just see what happens. Let's
They're
just
not going
see.
fast enough.
Let's see. She's going to avoid it. She knows the story.
Yeah, first one's avoiding.
First rack is safe.
Oh, the dude's going.
Four
No,
racks.
that doofus
Somebody's
is
going down.
You know what? Over tea kettle. Ooh, she was going fast. Oh, the spinner! He got the one wheel caught.
That was a toilet rim on a putt.
Yeah. Slick, it went around the rim and in.
Almost.
And did I call which guy was going to be?
You called it. From your Nanook weather.
The Nanook Weather Center.
Let's hear what the deer. By the way, Hugh's got something to say at 8 o'clock. Is it going to be about a painting elephant? Suit of the painting elephant, or is it going to be about the Seahawks, or is it going to be about something in life or the NFL? Hugh's got something to say in 13 minutes from right now. Also, in our next segment, Cliff Averill is going to join us live from here at the VMAC. Go ahead, boys.
Dear show, sign Jimmy now and throw in Fane's puffy coat.
Yeah. I'm ready to get rid of this puffy coat. I need a new one. Dear show, Graham, let it roll. Wait till the season plays out.
Okay.
Dear show, extend him now. This is a bevel problem not involving Graham to get the most out of him.
Okay.
Dear show,
but if it's a bevel problem and you're not getting the most out of him, and it's not a Jimmy Graham problem, and you assume that it will continue to be a bevel problem, would you want to pay a guy premier tight end money that's not going to be used to the fullest of his capabilities? Just because it's a Darrell Bevel problem doesn't make it right to give him a bunch of money, to load him up with money right now, right?
Yeah.
I think
you don't have Sean Payton calling plays.
I think the texter's saying instead of let Jimmy Graham possibly walk, let Darrell Bevel walk.
Okay.
Here's an interesting one. On Jimmy, it's too hard to be a physical running team with the most finesse tight end in the NFL. Let him go.
It's a problem in the run game, isn't it?
It is a problem.
Hugh, it's a
Dude
problem
doesn't
in the run
even
game.
try to block.
Yeah, he's not real stout that way.
He's thinking about flying his planes when he get a running play. When a running play's called at the huddle, his mind wanders to flying his plane.
Loop-de-loops.
He kind of just drifts off into the abyss.
He's
when
thinking
a running
of
play
the
is
Blue
called.
Angels when he goes to the line of scrimmage after a running play's called in the huddle.
Well, I think it also has to do with just chemistry with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's a top-flight quarterback, as we know, but Drew Brees, in that aspect of quarterbacking, the rapport he had and his ability to kind of throw with anticipation to a spot to make the receiver open, Brees was uncanny. And there's a lot of times where I think Jimmy Graham's route running is just okay.
Yeah.
And so I think the combination of Sean Payton and the emphasis as the play caller and Drew Brees' ability to anticipate and get the ball to Graham in ways that Russell Wilson has not yet been able to do. I think you got a couple factors.
What I speculate, and I could be completely wrong. This is a total guess from just an NFL fan. Is my guess is that umpteen times when Jimmy Graham played in New Orleans and they were in the red zone, Drew Brees came to the line of scrimmage, no matter what play was called. And he looked at the defense, and he looked at his offense, and he knew his play call, and he decided pre-snap, I'm going to Jimmy Graham. I'm a winner. I'm going to win many more times. My percentages say right now, throw the ball to him. He made pre-snap decisions that he was going to 88. That number 3, and I'm not criticizing number 3, maybe that's just not his style to make a pre-snap judgment that I'm going to 88 or I'm going to anybody right now. And he lets the play develop more than make the decision that maybe he could make before the snap of the ball. Is that fair? Is that a fair guess?
Yeah.
Is that a fair guess? Anyway, go ahead. What's the next one, guys?
Dear show, why would Graham want to come back to a run-first offense where it still doesn't feel like he's a fit? Can you re-sign someone who doesn't want to be re-signed?
Well, that's an interesting question. The point is that if he doesn't think, let's talk about that for a second. Let's say Jimmy Graham doesn't think he's a great fit, and then therefore isn't sure he's going to have a big season, right? Statistically, a big season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then his numbers are not going to be great, and he's now an aging tight end coming off of just an okay season. What kind of dollars would he get? If he's able to get more than that and not have to risk having just a mediocre season because he's not a great fit, might he be more willing to sign a deal right now than – do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think what's in Jimmy's best interest is to just go out, have a good season, even if his numbers aren't great because he's not the greatest fit, and then his agent goes out and says, listen, this is Jimmy Graham. He obviously didn't fit here. We put him in a system that throws the ball 45 to 50 times a game. He's going to get you.
How old will he be at the end of the year?
How
old will he be at the end of the year?
I think 31.
Yeah, the point. I understand the point of the texter, and maybe he's right. Maybe
he's 31.
Maybe they. And again, that's not the poll question. The poll question isn't, but the poll question is: would you make an attempt if you're the Seahawks right now to engage in contract extensions with Jimmy Graham, or would you just let the year play out and figure it out at the end of the year? That's the poll question, regardless of what Jimmy Graham's intentions or desires are to be with this team or not be with this team.
This team's had a lot of success with the Luke Wilsons and the Zach Miller.
But here's the one thing that's holding me back. They got to spend some money on the offensive side of the football. So now you're not going to sign the tight end. You're not going to sign the all-world. You're going to let the all-world tight end or a top-notch tight end walk out the door, and you're going to end up spending that money on defense or renewing defensive money. You're now not spending on the tight end. I mean, at what point do you start investing more than just in the quarterback on the offense?
If you're not getting out of him what his talent suggests and what his contract suggests, then, yeah, you get out.
Okay. But then let's use the money on – are you going to use – what are you going to – let's go get a wide receiver. Let's go get a running back. I don't know. Let's invest – I'm not convinced that they would take that money and invest it in the offense. I'm worried they'll take that money and extend Earl and do this and do that. And before you know it, we're now talking about an offense that is exactly the same in investment except without the tight end as opposed with the tight end. I need some equity. I need some money injected into the offense. So if that means keeping the tight end or not.
I think in sports, not just football, we often see that the difference between a guy who's paid 4 times as much as an average guy and he's at the top, he's not 4 times better. But in the NFL where there's so much parity, if Jimmy Graham is 15% better, he may get 3 times the money. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if he's 15% better, you got to get that out of him.
Okay.
If you're just as Dick said, if all you're doing is getting Luke Wilson production, then why are you paying? Even though he has ability in some other offense.
I get it. Anyway, so we'll let you call in on this topic in our 8 o'clock hour at about 8:30. Give you a chance to win 50-yard line seats to Game 16 of the regular season between the Cardinals and the Seahawks by participating on the radio program. Not only is Cliff Averill going to join us next, but just before Cliff Averill sits down with us, Hugh has something to say. Hugh's got something to say. He's got something on his mind, and we want to know, is it painting elephants, Suit of the Painting Elephant, or is it something else? He'll tell us next on 950 KJR. Hugh's got something to say here in a moment. Cliff Averill, our buddy. You think Cliff Averill's the nicest guy on the Seahawks? He may be the nicest guy on the Seahawks.
Really nice guy. KJ's a really nice guy.
Bobby Wagner's a really nice guy.
I'll bet you that if the PR department of the Seahawks had to anoint a guy based on a combination of how good he is on the playing field, it can't be just a third-string guy.
Right.
How good you're playing on the playing field, and how easy to work with and approachable and willing to do anything they need him to do. If you took those things and you mixed them up and you said, who's the Seahawks player that would be their favorite?
Yeah.
I'll bet you Cliff Averill is right. If he's not the favorite, is right near the top. I see him on TV. Yeah. I hear him on stations. I hear him on our stations. I hear him on the phone. I hear him in person. He seems to be very, very willing to do it.
He or Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner's right there.
I don't know.
Even though you make fun of Bobby Wagner and his turtle,
but the bar is with
backpack.
Marshawn Lynch, so I don't know if they'll ever reach him.
News from the Hawks headquarters. Looks like Paul Richardson's shoulder injury isn't as serious as originally expected. Participated in some drills and expects to be ready for the opener or earlier. KJ Wright is out of town. He's not only not here, he's out of town for the week. He's having a process, not a procedure. Mm-hmm. There's a process with his sore knee. Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett, Amara Darboh back at practice yesterday. Pete Carroll said yesterday that the offensive line did very well. And he also singled out rookie defensive tackle Naz Jones as having a good night on Sunday.
That's Slick's boy right there.
That is my boy.
Los Angeles.
Jones.
Mariners get a shot in the arm from the newly acquired Andrew Albers. They beat the Orioles 3-1. First M start for the left-hander, 5 innings, 6 hits, 1 run. It does the trick. He became the 37th pitcher and 16th different starter. That 37 number, 37 different pitchers have thrown a pitch for the Mariners. That's the second most pitchers in the history of baseball that an organization has ever used, and we're still only At August
said the
16th.
record was 40?
40. They got to go 3 more to beat it.
Let's do it.
They got to find 3 guys.
Yeah.
Everybody's throwing a pitch for them by now. The whole Tacoma team
Yeah.
has thrown a pitch, so I don't know where they're going to find the 3
Newport
guys.
High School?
Yeah, they got some pitchers. Ken Griffey Jr., Don Mattingly, and Dale Long, their big, prestigious consecutive games with a home run streak is in jeopardy. Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run in his 6th consecutive game. 8 straight is the record. 44 on the season, 23 in his last 35. That's an enormous amount over a 35-game stretch. 23 home runs in 35 games. NFLPA officially appeals Cowboys running back Zeke Elliott's 6-game suspension. Before we get our buddy Cliff Averill out here and put him in the chair, I think, you know when a kicker, Slickhawk, never quite ready with this. I've tried to hint strongly to Slickhawk that he needs to play this to introduce this segment, but he doesn't quite get it.
No, and I had the thought yesterday.
Just a nitwit.
You know what I'm going to do going forward? I had this thought is play the clip and then play the music, and I just forgot.
You want to know when the kicker's kicking really good? When he's
making
banging
kicks.
the cameraman at training camp.
So I got the hint, I just forgot.
Yeah.
You know why, Mitch?
Why?
Because it is Mai Tai Wednesday.
Oh,
it's Mai Tai
Shut
Wednesday.
up.
It is Mai Tai.
Why don't you have a
Wednesday.
Mai Tai so you can
Feel
get
that?
warm?
Oh,
You know who's on
breezy.
TV?
Chilly.
You know who's on TV?
He just
Ian
said it's
Furness.
breezy. He just said it's breezy and chilly.
Arctic.
Ian Furness is on TV from the
Slickhawk,
VMAC,
you
and
missed
he
it.
doesn't have a parka.
Slickhawk.
I heard
Because
it.
he hasn't been sitting out here for 3 hours, Slickhawk. He's
heard
been in the cozy room.
What has you got? What's on? I'm always wondering what's on your mind. You always got something going on in that noggin of yours. You got some Excel sheet, the mental version of an
Most
Excel
of
sheet.
what's swimming in my mind is not worth talking about.
Yes,
on
it
the
is.
radio.
You
No.
don't think it's worth
I know.
talking about.
Well,
Suit of the Elephant,
well,
according to some Texers, wasn't worth talking about yesterday. But we liked it.
I liked it.
We liked it. We liked it.
Yeah.
What's up? What's going on in
this-
that noggin of
This
yours?
is y'all's idea, but I'm here. I'm
Y'all's idea.
Y'all's idea to do this segment. But, I think in looking at the Times, Casey Williams, very prominently featured on the front page, big, long article, and it gets me thinking about,
By the way,
not
what,
just Casey.
what got Paul Richardson onto the field yesterday?
It's Paul Richardson. It's the
He helped win the
ex-receiver.
game for
It's
us.
His shoulder's not feeling so
Yeah.
bad after all.
It's the fact that Jermaine Kearse is running with the number 2 Z's. Now he's not running as the number 1 X. So the X positions kind of got me thinking, and I think other people with Casey Williams' performance, and in light of Paul Richardson, the injury, and Casey Williams, I think it bears mentioning his past because his dad, he's a legacy Husky. His dad, Aaron Williams, had maybe the greatest catch I've ever seen in a Husky. It was literally Odell Beckham style in a massively important game at Arizona State. Both teams in the top 10. The Rose Bowl was on the line, and Aaron Williams caught stretched out and caught a one-handed fade. I think Arizona State was ranked. Both teams were in the top 7, and it was an incredible game. Anyways, Aaron Williams went on to a brief career in the NFL. His son now, Kaysen, comes out, and at Skyline High School, hear this kid, he was the Parade All-American National Player of the Year and Max Prep's National Player of the Year. I mean, just a 5-star, incredibly talented guy who goes to Washington, plays 13 games as a freshman. Then as a sophomore, he ratchets up to 77 catches. And you think at that point, it's freeze time. You think his career
Hit the
is
pause
just,
button on the world
yeah,
spinning.
well, just stop and just say, I mean,
Where's
this
he
guy,
headed?
Yeah,
First round draft
pick.
He came in with greatness.
Yeah.
He came in with greatness. He's on the path to greatness. And then he has an ill-fated fade route against California, underthrown by Keith Price. He comes back and he breaks his fibula.
Damn Keith.
And he's out for the season. And then he comes down his senior year. He has 20 receptions for 189 yards.
And in the process,
worse than his freshman year.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
the
I
lowest
don't know whether
career
you
low.
want me to bring this up. In the process, we had a an NFL analyst, a former Husky who bleeds purple and gold, question on the air at one point whether Kaysen was running hard in drills. Am I memory? You say things and they go up here, and I remember you were not happy at one point with Kaysen.
When was that?
Well, I don't remember where in the
going
process.
Into a senior year.
Yeah, you
going into a senior year.
You didn't like the effort that he was giving in wind sprints.
The last time he had been healthy, he had 77 catches in his sophomore year. Well, that senior year, prior to that, again, the senior year he had 20 catches. Prior to that, in watching him, he was dead last in wind sprints, and I'd watch him in one-on-one, and he'd start to get off the line, and he didn't feel like he could get off, and he'd just stop competing. Like, I've never seen this. What are we doing? Why are you not competing? And so he was obviously in a bad frame of mind about his foot, his ankle, and it showed.
So what's on your mind now with Kaysen Williams?
So now,
but we've seen training camps, even last year or the year before, where he stepped out and looked great, and then he kind of disappeared.
Well, he got hurt again, right?
Yeah, he kind of gets a nagging injury, and then he's standing on the sideline. And I can remember you again saying in these shows, Kaysen's standing there on the sidelines. He's not doing himself any good, hanging out on the sidelines. Get on the football field.
And he admits that, and he said he's doing everything he can to now focus on being healthy, and the best ability is availability, is quoted in the paper today, and he's changing his diet. He's eating more fruits and vegetables. He's lost 6 or 7 pounds. Everything in his mind is a thrust to be as healthy as he can. So he ran, the upside, he's 6'2", 215, 220 plus. They list him at 219. You can see it. I mean, he's going to win just about every battle on a contested ball.
Against first-teamers?
Yeah, I think so.
Because
I think
we never
physically,
see him against first-teamers.
Now,
he's always doing it against
the downside, he ran a 4.62 coming out. That's now there's guys that are running 4.6s in the NFL, but
only if they're great.
They're not going to have. They're not going to have great separation.
They got to be like Julian Edelman.
Yeah. Well, what do you think Jermaine Kearse could run?
Well, he doesn't get separation
right now.
Why are you asking about him? We want somebody that gets some separation.
Yeah.
You and your Jermaine, you just can't stop, can you?
I just think that you know what? You know what it is?
You can't stop. Let me tell you about Phil Mickelson.
I'm bringing up Kaysen Williams.
Let me tell you about the cold at the VMAT.
I'm bringing up Kaysen Williams because I want this story to work. And he's a local kid, and I want Jermaine Kearse to work. But I think the club is wrong. I think the club is a great club. I don't think they're perfect, and I think they've got it wrong with Jermaine. Okay. But they're getting it right by having him at number 2. So now you look at the X-receiver. The X-receiver, what that means is the split end. He's the guy that would be on the weak side of the formation. Generally,
Explain.
Okay, so
the weak side of the formation
you got
is
5
the
offensive linemen
opposite of the tight end, the other side,
opposite of the tight end.
Okay,
and would frequently in either pro sets or in trip sets, he would be alone on the single side. And as such, he has to be on the line of scrimmage to be eligible. Well, now you got to get a guy that can get off a press. So one of the first things you say about an X receiver, you better be able to get off the jam, because a Z receiver, who's the other, he can be off the line.
Gives
he has
him a little extra space.
Yeah, he's got some
zig
space.
and to zag.
Yeah, just get a little shimmy at the line and get that release. But when you're X you're tethered, you can't go in motion, and you're right there, that corner's right in front of you, and he can get his hands on you. You got to be strong or you got to be quick, huh?
Can he?
Yeah, he's got the strength. The question again, the only thing that's preventing him from being a top flight NFL receiver is just outright speed. Now,
he's
Odell
not going to
Beckham,
get fast. He's not going to get faster.
I was just studying game tape of Odell Beckham.
Why?
Odell Beckham, various reasons.
Nothing to do?
No, just various reasons.
Did you have practice to go to or something?
Well, it has to do with coaching and maybe some guys we think might have some skill sets, something like that. But
you got an Odell Beckham Jr.? The next Odell Beckham Jr. plays at Mount Si?
Odell Beckham.
I got to get out to the games.
Odell Beckham is worth looking at just because he's got some electrifying qualities to his game. But he'll get off the press just sheer quickness. Other guys have to do it with strength. Obviously, Kaysen is going to do it with strength. Now, he was showing a good release. Whether he can do that against the varsity, we'll see. But you got Paul Richardson, who, there's another component to this that on the weak side blocking, you want your ex-receiver to be a little bit more stout blocking. Not that would be a primary. That'd be a secondary, tertiary, probably tertiary component to this, but it's not totally insignificant, particularly the way Seattle wants to run the ball. Paul Richardson is not the profile of an ex-receiver. Now, if he can take the top off the defense, Richardson, he's going to be an ex-receiver that's more of a clear-out type guy and a big play threat and keep him outside the numbers guy. He's not going to be a complete receiver coming inside. Yeah. If Kaysen is going to compete for this, he's going to have to be the complete receiver that can come inside, run slant routes, run in-breaking routes, go and take a hit in the middle of the field. Then there's also Tanner McAvoy.
But let me ask you what I joked about, and I know that Cliff Avril's coming and he's going to sit in the chair, so we got to get through the Hugh's got something to say. So what's on your mind is Kaysen Williams today. Kaysen Williams is on your mind. But
hang on, Mitch. Kaysen Williams
slash the ex-receiver.
The ex-receiver with Paul Richardson hurt and these guys trying to break this door down.
I joked about it on Monday morning show, but there's got to be something to it. There's got to be something to the fact that we all sat down and watched the first preseason game. A lot of people listening to this show right now sat down and watched the first preseason game and saw Kaysen Williams stand out on about 4 or 5 plays, but they all were the exact same play and type of play. Go down the sidelines on the outside and throw the ball up in the air and win a jump ball on some level, beat a guy. There's got to be something to the fact that they didn't throw one slant to him. They didn't throw anything in the middle of the field. It's all the same play. You got to hit that a little bit, don't you?
Well, on that one, but
is he a one-trick pony? Is that the only thing he can do?
No. I mean, if he is, he's not going to play. But you're also talking about the single most important aspect, most game-breaking aspect. If you've got a guy who can win on a go route and go up, climb the ladder, and routinely win on fades, Des Bryant's, the A.J. Greens, the Julio Jones. Those guys, first and foremost, particularly on next receiver, as a quarterback, you come to the line of scrimmage, you got all your receivers set to, let's say, the right, and you got a single receiver to the left. You want to look and say, what are they doing with the safety on that side of the field? Are they taking the safety over the top? If they're putting a safety over the top, then you've got advantages in the running game, and you can work the 3-receiver side, and in pro sets you can work the tight end side. But if they are not putting a safety over the top of the ex-receiver, then that corner better be able to defend a fade route. Mm-hmm. And if Kaysen Williams, with his 6'2" body and his 7'1" high jumping, good enough to be literally the Gatorade National Athlete of the Year, and what do we say, parade as well?
Yeah.
If he can execute that fade route, he now scares the hell out of corners, and little hitch routes and stop routes and curl routes and slant routes are available because corners are saying, oh, my God, this guy's a beast on the fade.
What are you playing music for?
Oh, he said okay, so I figured we're transitioning to Cliff Avril. I figured it was
well, it's an empty chair. It's an empty chair.
I'm not.
Does he have to play special teams to make the team? He can't. He's not going out and covering anybody, is he?
Well, he could run.
He's not going to go down, and he does not seem to me like a special teams player. It just seems like the odds are still stacked against him. Right now, betting.
Well, he's been on.
Come on, stick your neck out. I know you love predictions. Is he on the final? What do they call? What's
53-man?
53-man. No practice squad. Come on, stick your neck out.
No,
Skyline high.
No,
Skyline high. What do you guys think? Kaysen Williams, yay or nay?
Fifth receiver, so he's got to beat Darbo. Then,
be the 5th receiver, you got to play special teams. You can't be a 5th receiver. Is
Darbo going to play special teams?
What's Darbo's injury? I know he didn't play.
He practiced yesterday.
No, well,
see, Darbo.
He's not a special
as a third rounder is an indicator of the fact that they're trying to upgrade there. And Darbo has been everything you want, but there's a conspicuous lack of suddenness with his game that leaves you a little bit underwhelmed.
There's no suddenness in Kaysen Williams' game. Zero suddenness in Kaysen Williams' game.
But you have a guy at 6'2" that can go and get a fade like that. And if you can go get a fade like that, then the defender is going to overcompensate on the fade, and then you're more likely to get some of the underneath.
Okay,
routes.
let me ask you. Let's get down to brass tacks. Let's just get down to brass tacks. And I think we should call an audible because I don't see Cliff Averill.
He's on his way out right now.
He's running late, which means we should take a break.
Well, he's on his way right now.
Yeah, but it means we should take a break because you're going to get me in big trouble with Rich Moore.
Well, we'll figure it out on the back end.
Let's get down to brass tacks. You got one position, one spot on the team for a wide receiver, non-special teams player. And it comes down to two guys. One chair, two guys. Two former University of Washington guys. Two local products. One from Tacoma, one from Skyline.
Fair comparison. One's making $3.5 million.
Forget that. Just forget that. You got a spot for a wide receiver, ex-wide receiver that does not play special teams. Because I don't think Jermaine Kearse is playing special teams if he makes the team. Are you truly? I know how you feel. Are you truly passing on Jermaine? You know about Jermaine Kearse's camaraderie or lack thereof with Russell Wilson. I know you poo-poo that.
Well, I don't put. I look at the numbers.
Okay.
Don't tell me about what.
Okay.
Which guy he likes?
Which guy makes the team better?
Numbers.
Hugh Breedlove Millen. Which guy makes the Seattle Seahawks better? Forget salaries. Non-special teams playing wide receiver, one spot. Who makes the team better? Are you sure about that?
I'm sure.
He makes the Seahawks better.
I would say this.
You agree with that, Dick? Kason Williams makes the Seahawks better than Jermaine Kearse.
Jermaine is his ceiling is so low.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
he literally at least Kason has something that's top flight.
I think if we did a poll question tomorrow,
wasn't that Jermaine's strength all the time, going up and getting balls?
Oh, he's 6'1" and he's.
You really think
Jermaine?
You think Kason Williams helps the Seahawks more than Jermaine Kearse?
Well, the part where I say I get frustrated with the club is I don't think they're considering the psychology that you have to clear out the space to let somebody emerge.
Okay, 20 minutes after the hour.
Challenge the young guys to go in there and.
Okay, take a quick break, real quick break, and when it won't be a long one. Cliff Averill is going to sit down with us next on 950 KJ. An apology from the Mitch in the Morning radio program. Our apologies. We have been promoting Cliff Averill all morning. Apparently, Cliff Averill is not going to be with us. A scheduling conflict has popped up, and he'll join us at a later date. I apologize to the listeners. It's the best that I could do is just tell you what the Seahawks tell us. So we'll wait on Cliff Averill and hope to visit with him down the line. One of our favorite Seattle Seahawk players who apparently sent somebody out and told him to tell the guys that he apologizes. Cliff Averill apologized. And I believe that, by the way.
We forgive you, Cliff.
I believe that. Like, let's assume we were going to talk to Marshawn Lynch. And the guy came out and said, Marshawn Lynch wanted me to tell you guys that he apologized. He's not going to make it. Would you believe that apology actually ever took place?
I wouldn't believe that he would agree to it in the first place.
Before
it's a moot point.
Well, no, it's not a moot point because he was on a couple of times on the show.
All right, Junior.
All right, there you go. Okay, there you go. Like with Cliff Averill, when the guy comes out and says, Cliff Averill wanted me to tell you guys he's sorry, he's got to jump into a meeting, he really apologizes, he'll make it up to you. I actually believe it. I believe it. Like if I were in Boston in the 90s, and the quarterback Hugh Millen ditched me, and I was doing and the guy came out and said Hugh Millen wanted me to apologize to you guys. I'd be like, no way.
No.
He didn't send us.
Well, he was busy standing by a bunch of rocks. Yeah. Making $150,000.
All right, so this is an opportunity for those of you that haven't been able yet to get into the hat for the 50-yard line seats to see Game 16. What's going to be on the line? You've already decided. Yeah. You know what's going to be on the line. Home field advantage all the way through the playoffs?
I think potentially.
Or they're out?
No, I think what's going to be on the line with a win and help that week.
Yes.
They get a 2 seed, a 1 or a 2 seed.
So a 1 or a 2 seed.
If they win and get help.
Okay. So I'm giving away my 50-yard line seats. First level 50-yard line seats to see the Seahawks face the Cardinals on New Year's Eve. And as Hugh said earlier on in this promotion, if these are truly on the 50.
Yeah.
Like if you took the 50-yard line in a ruler, if you had a really big ruler,
Splits it right in the
straight
crotch?
edge, and you went right, no.
Oh, between the seats.
Between the seats.
Oh,
one guy is on one side of the 50.
Do you feel
and the
far
other
away
guy's on
from
the
him?
other,
'Cause
and
he's
the other
over
guy's on the
of
other
field?
side of the 50. If you would like to go to the New Year's Eve game between the Cardinals and the
New
Seahawks.
Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve. The final day of the regular season, which could decide everything. Give us a call at 206-286-9595 right now. Or call the number that nobody remembers, 1-800-829-0950, and simply answer as a Seahawks fan the following question. Would you like to see the Seahawks engage in conversations now about extending Jimmy Graham's contract? He's making $10 million. So know what you got. You got to know some things if you're going to call in on the poll. He's making $10 million a year. He's going to want big money. At least big guaranteed, a good chunk of money up front and guaranteed at his age. That's what he's going to want. Are you willing to do? Would you be willing to do that right now without seeing what's behind door number one? What's behind door number one is whatever he does this regular season. Does he stay healthy? Does he get on the same page with Russell Wilson? Does Russell Wilson use him enough in the red zone, or is he just another tight end? Or would you rather see the Seahawks roll the dice, play it out, not approach him with a new extension, and just understand that if he has a monster year, like let's say he catches 80 balls for 10 touchdowns or 11 touchdowns, now the chances of you getting him back are really remote because there will be other teams. There will be at least one other piss-poor excuse of a team that's ready to give him a lot of money up front.
And
so that's the question. That's the poll question. Call now, and if you participate on the question, if you call in, your phone number goes into the hat for the drawing for the tickets for the Cardinals Seahawks.
And as referenced in 2014, at the age of 27, he signed a 4-year, $40 million contract with the Saints, including a $12 million signing bonus and guaranteed money at signing of just a skosh under $16 million.
Okay. So
that's
you
probably
play general manager. We'll get each of everybody's opinion here, and then we'll go to the phone lines. Anybody who calls in is into the hat for the drawing, and we'll have Pete Carroll discussing, making another comment about Malik McDowell, discussing Paul Richardson, discussing who he thought played well on Sunday. He singles out some people. You'll hear from Pete Carroll in 14 minutes at 8:45 on 950 KJR. Go ahead. What do you think?
Well, there's no question in my mind that Jimmy Graham is an elite tight end, and that it's okay to pay that exorbitant margin between a really good tight end and a great tight end. I would say that for just about any position. You know, that extra 10 or 20% of juice you get at a player, you pay double. Let's just quibble with the numbers, but just if you accept the philosophy, but he hasn't been that with Seattle. I think he could be with that with Seattle, but until I see the chemistry and the ability to utilize him. Now, I know he set Seahawks records for the tight end position and what have you. I would want to risk it, play this year out, and then if it costs you more money, it costs you more money. The salary cap's been going up 10, 12 million every year.
But the way you present that is it doesn't seem like you're considering how likely it would be under that scenario that he would leave. It just seems like you think
him.
They're not going to franchise Jimmy.
Why
Graham.
not? You get the top five at that position. He's already making that.
Well,
you franchise him for what he's making already.
Okay, is there anybody else that you want to franchise on this team?
No. Has there ever been anybody you want to franchise on this team?
There's another free agent.
Richard Sherman?
There's another free agent going to be at the end of the year.
Justin Britt.
Who you're not going to want to leave if he keeps playing center the way he's played it.
The average.
And he's going to get big offer.
You're going to give Justin Britt a contract. You're not going to.
Yeah, but he might get a massive center offer from somewhere else, making you want to franchise your only good offensive lineman, who's now an up-and-coming center in the National Football League. Just consider that.
Zach Ertz,
consider that.
Average salary, Zach Ertz is number 5
at
$8.5 million. Graham is number 1. So your average is going to be in the 9.3, 9.4.
So he's going to make less money next year if you're franchising than he is this year.
So I'd be willing to take the risk. I want to see
what happens.
I want to see just another vault in terms of his impact on the football team.
Okay.
I think Jimmy Graham's going to have his best year as a Seahawk this year. That being said, I agree with you. You roll the dice. You let him play it out. You still have the opportunity to sign him at the end of the year. You still have the opportunity to franchise him, as that we found less money than he's making this year.
But you can't use the franchise on anybody else.
You can't, but I think you're going to sign Justin Britt. I think you're going to give Justin Britt a big time contract. So that's the direction I go.
Slickhawk?
Sign him right now. I don't want to mess around with whatever's going to happen. I don't want him to touch or sniff free agency.
Okay.
You're right. You give him a contract right now. You
disagree.
let him sign it.
Disagree
you give him a
with
little,
Hugh?
Yeah, I do.
Say, I disagree with Hugh and Dick Fane.
I disagree with Hugh and Dick Fane.
On how cold it is out here.
Well, I mean, the temperature is what the temperature is. It's how much of a man you are to be able to withstand that temperature without a freaking parka.
I'll just say this, that my opinion of this is a step back and a view of the entire financial dynamic as currently constituted of the Seattle Seahawks. And I see a lot of money being spent on stars on the defense. And I see very few guys outside of the quarterback that are getting any kind of money. And I look at that team, and outside of Justin Britt, name me one other player on the offense that you could really see them needing to invest a lot of money in. Who am I missing?
Well, potentially Tyler Lockett could get money.
A little bit of money for Tyler Lockett. I think it's just time that they start spending money
how much does Doug
on the
Baldwin make?
offense.
He makes a good
He just
chunk.
signed. He's all set.
Yeah,
but he makes a good chunk.
So I'm carry out your logic. I want to hear you tie this together.
Tie it together
to a conclusion.
I'm not risking. Let's say by the way, I agree with Dick Fane that I think he's going to have the best year of his Seahawks career this year.
Yeah, not of his total career.
I don't see the Seahawks franchising Jimmy Graham. I just don't think they'll do it. I think they'll try to sign him at the end of that best year, and if they can sign him, they will. I think that Jimmy Graham is an East Coast guy. I think there is a really high percentage chance that he will leave if he gets to that point.
He loves flying float planes.
I know. He can fly him in Florida just like he can fly him anywhere else. And I'm just not ready, as Slickhawk said, I'm not ready to allow $10 or $11 million, a guy that I view his value as $10 or $11 million a year to this offense. I'm not letting offensive players and skilled position players that can help Russell Wilson, I'm not risking letting those guys walk out the door. So my answer to the question is, would I make a run at re-signing him right now and extended? Yeah. Would I give him a boatload of money right now? No. I'd take a shot. I'd call the agent. I'd say, hey, maybe he's already done it. What would it take for us to extend Jimmy for a year or two right now? Find out those numbers, but I would be very willing to at least engage in the conversation right now, as opposed to rolling the dice and letting this thing happen at the end of the season.
Well, it's interesting how you're tying that together. So I agree with you. You need to spend money on the offense.
You were skeptical.
No,
you're not happy with me right now.
I'm not.
You don't think I did a very good job?
Well, it sounds like you're saying, well, we know that the offense needs to be more productive, and we need to spend more money on the offense. To me, the question is, and if Jimmy Graham is producing at a level that is so significantly above his replacement, then you pay Jimmy Graham. But right now, Luke Wilson is making $1.8 million. Jimmy Graham is definitely the best tight end on this team. It's not close.
Right.
But is he giving you?
No, he's not. The answer to your question is no. But I'm saying I'm being speculative here a little bit. I got to speculate a little bit.
On a 31-year-old tight end.
Yes, I'm speculating a little bit here on what I think. Look, if they're going to have a conversation with him about extending him right now, they've got to speculate a little bit.
How many years?
They're speculating
no question.
a little bit, right? So I'm going to speculate a little bit because I'm in the camp of talking to him right now. And my speculation is he's going to have a healthy, good if not great season this year for the Seattle Seahawks. So I'm basing my opinion on that speculation. And I'm not risking losing an offensive piece on this football team at the end of the season. That's the way I'm tying it together. If you don't like the way I'm tying it together, then you got to look in the mirror. You got the problem, not me. I don't got no problem. All right, let's go. Let's get some calls in here. Give some people a chance to win the 50-yard line seats. Get them in the drawing. Go ahead, Slick Hawk. What do you got?
Got Andre in Tacoma.
He's always the first. Why does Andre in Tacoma always call?
Dick has these on his
tired
text,
of
by the way.
No offense to Andre. I don't give a rat's ass anymore what Andre has to say. I want to hear from other people. Go ahead, Andre. What do you do? What do you do?
Let's see. I really believe that, with all the camaraderie that he has with Russell Wilson, all the amp up of this year is the year for him. He's healthy. Let's see if we can make something happen now, and if not, let's buck up later and pay the man what he gets. I mean, that's the.
So you're coming. You're in the middle. Are you a make a run at signing him now or not?
Make a run and see what we can get, and if not, then hey, we got to buck up.
Andre, give somebody else a chance, will you? And this is the same list. Is this Cameron was on yesterday?
Well, you only have 40 and a half
This
listeners,
is ridiculous.
So what the heck?
It's the same people over and over again. Can somebody new call the show? Cameron, go ahead.
I think we should wait till next year, man. I mean, if he's going to, like you guys are saying, if he's going to put out like Luke Wilson, might as well pay Luke Wilson money for.
All right, thanks, Cameron.
For him.
Very good.
Thanks.
Goodbye. Luke in Tacoma. Go ahead, Luke.
So I'd say that I'd re-sign him, or at least try to re-sign him now. I don't think I'd go more than 10 or 15 million signing bonus over, say, 4 years. I think it's a similar contract to what he signed the last time. But that's only if we can cut Jermaine Kearse and still have room under the cap.
Boy, Luke is my favorite caller of all time.
Jesus. Use the Jimmy Graham poll to throw Jermaine Kearse under the bus.
Mitch, do I have your permission to give Luke a Subway gift card? We have a couple of these to give away. Can I give him one?
Just do me a favor. Don't give Andre or Cameron a damn thing.
Okay.
No. Okay.
Luke's
Stop
getting a gift card.
Give it to
Subway.
somebody else.
Yeah.
Joey and Fife, go ahead.
All right, I have two cap thoughts. First, salary cap. When I don't want to be paying for this guy. I mean, I'd rather have the money free for an offensive lineman next year possibly, and that's with the understanding that you're talking about one player that has one of the most adversarial relationships with a franchise tag with this wide receiver tight end.
Okay, I got to stop you. What's this guy's name, Joey and Fife? I got to stop you because you guys tell me if I'm wrong about this. So what this guy is saying is, let it ride. Use the money. We need offensive linemen. We need offensive linemen. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask all of you a question. Where are we getting skilled position players while Russell Wilson is young? Okay? You don't get them in free agency. Anytime a wide receiver or a running back becomes available in free agency, just about every time, they're either a little over. They're all Sean Jeffrey. They're a little over there. The great players they never become free agents.
Over the hill.
The real good offensive skill positions players never really become free agents. They either get franchised or they get signed back.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to spend money on skill positions that way. You better. Then you got to do it in the draft, right? You got to do it in the draft. If you let guys like Jimmy Graham walk out the door and you spend it on offensive
franchise
line.
him, Mitch. I don't want to portray my position as not being willing to pay Jimmy Graham.
You're not willing to pay Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham was offered a contract coming off of the 2013 year where he had 1,215 yards and 16 touchdowns. In 2 years with Seattle, he's got 8. He's half of the touchdowns that he had in the last season that prompted the contract. So, in my mind, if he's making 10 now,
he's not going to make 12 or 13.
And we can franchise him, give him 9.5. I want to see him
Let me ask
reach
you a
that
question.
potential.
Let me ask you. Hey, Buster Brown, let me ask you a question, Hugh. Let me ask you.
And he's going to be 31.
Let me ask you a question. Then what happens when you franchise him, and he refuses to play? and he says, you give me a long-term contract or I'm not playing. I've made enough money in my career. I'm not playing on a
Everybody says that about everybody.
contract.
How many guys do that? How many NFL players are right now only given a franchise tag? Kirk Cousins, what's he doing?
Slickhawk, would you speak some
sense? Is he
sense
playing
into
hoop
these guys?
at the Y?
Why are we
How often did Walter Jones hold out the 47 years he was franchised?
These guys are fooling around with skilled position. They've got a skilled position.
Well, Mitch, you had
don't fool around.
You had
with
half
it.
of a really good
Yeah,
point.
you
want to give 4 years to a 31-year-old tight end
You're playing
who
a
has
game.
not shown that he has the ability on this offense to be an impact player. He's got 8 touchdowns in 2.
This
So
guy
what are
is
you
a
gonna sign him
physical
to?
freak of nature.
Of course he's a physical freak of nature.
Now he's going to be that when he's 34.
By that logic, all right, let's pop him up 3. Let's pop him up a foot. Let's make him 8 feet and 400 pounds, and he runs a 4.3. Who cares what physical freak of nature he is if he's not producing on the field at a level of his contract?
You don't like Jimmy Graham.
No, I do like Jimmy Graham.
You don't like him.
And I'm willing to pay Jimmy Graham. I just want to see it another year.
Do you think he's overpaid right now?
Of course he's overpaid right now.
Well, he's the number 1 tight end in the league. Is he the best tight end in the league? No.
He got again.
He's paid like the best, and he's not the best, so therefore he's overpaid.
No, but you're talking about an annual year salary. That's one way of looking at it. There's guys like Gronk who got – how much money did Gronk get up front in the last contract?
It was close.
You can't just talk about annual salary in the NFL. That's not the way to gauge who's getting the highest paid. 8:45 on 950
What do you
KJR.
want to know about Gronkowski?
Let's get Pete Carroll in here to talk about other stuff.
6 years, $54 million.
950 KJR. Pete Carroll on Michael Bennett.
We have visited and talked a couple times already. Michael and I go way back. We've had a long time together. We've been spending time working on stuff on and off the field for quite some time and in great depth. And Michael has really dedicated the last few years of his life to try to understand what's going on around the world. He's traveled everywhere to try and understand people's issues and concerns. And it's really captured his heart, and he has really turned his focus to doing good work and helping people and doing everything he can for things that he thinks where he can help. And so I support the heck out of his concerns and his issues and all that. When it comes to it, I love our country, and I think we should all stand for the opportunities when the flag is represented. But the fact that his heart is in a great place, and he's going to do great work well after the time he's with us. And it's easy for me to support him in his issues. But I think we should all be standing up when we're playing national anthem.
What advice did you give him? He said he's going to continue to do. What advice did you give?
We've talked a lot about all that's going to come to him, and listen very carefully to people's perspective, and stay very true, and be very much in the middle, so he doesn't get captured one way or the other by somebody else's concerns, somebody else's issues. So I'll continue to support him and help in every way. We'll visit regularly, and hopefully we can help make sense of all of the things that comes his way.
But he made clear to you he still wants to continue to.
No, he did not say that to me.
What are you weighing in the interest of unity, or just telling you need to stand and be part of the team? Have you weighed that?
We have talked about that. We talked about it a lot last year, in particular, and this was a little bit of a surprise. I didn't know it was coming, and so we hadn't addressed it going in. So we'll see. This is a very connected football team, and everybody has really come here to do something special and to do it together. And so whatever happens from this point forward, we'll be working on it, and we'll see where it goes.
What's your apprehension about unintended consequences with something like this?
Because you don't know. You don't know what's going to come your way, and that's what I was cautioning Mike about. Listening very carefully and understanding who's tugging at him and who isn't, and all that. But Mike's heart is in such a great place. He has done so much work to try to understand where he can help, and he is doing marvelous things in our community here. He's been overseas. He's been to Africa. He's been to Haiti. He spent time in the Badlands, the Native American community, so that he can understand. He's done a lot more work than most people would ever be able to do in a lifetime in trying to understand where he can help and what he could possibly do. And he's a very unique person, very amazing guy.
Coach, you've had a lot of people around here over the years, players who have a worldview beyond football, who say what they think and what they believe, and sort of do the research and walk the walk. Do you think some of that has to do with how you guys identify players and some characteristics? Is some of it coincidence? Is some of it the culture here?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think we're looking for people who are willing to go for it and take on the great challenges of taking their game and their team as far as they can take it. And some people will go along for the ride, and other people want to see if they can cause the change. And so we do recognize that in some of our guys. We have done this for a long time. We celebrate the uniqueness of our players in every way that we can, as long as they toe the line and fit in with this football team. And we are not scattered in our views. We're not disconnected. We're a very connected group, and I think we've demonstrated that over years. And but by the same token, these are young men that are growing up and they're trying to find their message. They're trying to find their heart, and I couldn't support that more. And I think when we do connect with who they are and what they're all about, I think we can help them go farther. And so that's a big challenge for me and our coaches and our administration to work to understand our guys and to see what we can do. But they got to roll with us now, and there ain't any question about that. And so we're very, very specific about that and very strict about that. And I'm hoping you see in the result, whatever it's this culture somewhat, I don't know. It's the people. Yeah, I think it's the coaches. I think it's all of us that contribute to that.
Just to clarify, do you anticipate Michael continuing to...
I don't know that. I can't tell you right now. I'm not sure.
Do you think that whether...
I don't know. We haven't talked about it at all. I don't know. I'm not concerned about it. We'll figure it out. Whatever we do will be the right thing for us.
8:56. There's Pete Carroll, mostly on Michael Bennett's decision to kneel during the national anthem. We'll get our opinion on what Pete Carroll said in our next segment. We got great debates as well. 12th Man Roundtable. Remember, 12th Man Roundtable is a daily tradition, not a weekly tradition here in training camp. A daily tradition. Bob and Greg will be sitting with us here on 950 KJR during the 9 o'clock hour, live from a sunny VMAC, despite the picture on my Twitter page of, and we're getting some classic reaction. One woman writes, "Get the sand out of your vagina." Dick Fane.
And I'll tell
It's
you,
not that cold.
and I'll tell you on the air what I just told you off the air. The only people taking shots are the people that aren't sitting out here for 4.5 hours. They're the only people taking shots.
We continue.
Mitch isn't taking shots. Hugh's not taking shots.
Sounds like a complaint.
Nobody's taking. Ian Furness is taking shots in there after he walked out for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Does a TV hit, and
There
where's
he
he been
is.
sitting
There he is.
the rest of the time in the cozy little room in there?
Come here, I'll
Tough
go
guy,
there.
tough guy, Ian.
All right. We'll continue with Hugh Breedlove Millen, the Nanook of the North, who will try to get the sand out of his vagina next on 950 KJR. Let's go up. Are we up? Can you hear me?
You are there.
Is this mic on?
You're live on the radio.
Do I sound okay? Testing, 1, 2, 3. News from the Hawks, a Wednesday at the VMAC. Paul Richardson's shoulder. Not as seriously injured as originally expected. He won't be out as long as we thought earlier, too. He was at practice doing some limited activities yesterday. KJ Wright sat out practice, knee soreness. In fact, he's not even here. He's getting some treatment somewhere else. It's a ancient Chinese secret, huh?
What was that from?
It was like a detergent, a wash detergent.
Ancient Chinese secret,
ancient
huh?
Chinese secret, huh? Where KJ Wright is.
Sometimes your references tickle me.
Come on, you loved my reference late in the show that Trevon Boykin is the frog from the comic strip.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling.
Who during practices is just ribbit. Ribbit, and you're like, what the hell? And then the game starts, like, hello, my baby, hello, my darling. And then he goes back to practice. Ribbit.
What was that?
Ribbit. I'm telling you, that's Trevon Boykin.
It is.
He does not practice.
Good.
You know what? It is really cold in here.
Doug Baldwin, Charlie Lockett, Amara Darbo is back at practice. Let's see. Mariners get a shot in the arm from the newly acquired Andrew Albers. They beat the The Orioles 3-1. First M start for the left-hander. He's the 37th different pitcher to throw a pitch in a Mariners uniform, 16th starter. And that 37 number is now the second largest number in the history of Major League Baseball. Only the Texas Rangers of a few years ago have thrown more pitches, more different pitchers in a season than the Seattle Mariners. They threw 40 that year. So the Mariners on August 16th have a chance, if they can find 3 more guys that haven't already thrown a pitch for the Mariners, and like double-A or single-A, they could break the record. Ken Griffey Jr., Don Mattingly, Dale Long's record of consecutive games with a home run, that 8-game record is in jeopardy. We'll see if he can do it tonight. Giancarlo Stanton has hit home runs in 6 consecutive games. He has hit now 11 home runs in his last 12 games. He has hit 23 home runs in his last 35 games.
That's the one that's insane. Could you think about if he did that at the beginning of the season, what we'd be talking about? If we were 35 games in and he had 23 bombs,
it would
we'd
be
like,
unbelievable.
dude, it's the Barry Bonds watch is on.
That's right. The 13-year, $325 million contract, I guess, is paying dividends for Giancarlo Stanton, who used to be Mike. Zeke Elliott's 6-game suspension now officially appealed by the NFLPA. The hearing date is August 29th. The Honorable Roger Goodell will be presiding. And Eagles cut veteran running back Ryan Matthews to save $4 million against the cap. Apparently there's some breaking news.
Yes, from the Twitter of Mike Garafolo.
Garofalo?
I've heard it's Garafolo. The Seahawks have...
Slickhawk, why is it that we can never agree on how you pronounce a name?
I always thought it was Garofalo, too.
What the hell, like Ian Rappaport?
Yeah,
Rappaport.
it's
I always thought it was Garofalo, but apparently it's Garofalo or something. The Seahawks have agreed to a 1-year deal with cornerback Tremaine Brock, sources say. Team met with him in April. Spent yesterday meeting again.
I see.
So maybe your nickel corner of the future.
What did Greg Bell say?
Maybe
He doesn't do the
future.
kick step. Is it the kick step?
Kick step.
He doesn't do the kick step. It's not a good signing. Greg Bell's worried about Kerry Williams. Greg Bell will be here with Bob Condotta in the 12th Man Roundtable to discuss the signing of Tremaine Brock. So
thumbs
he was
up
here.
on that.
Your thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
I'm thumbs up.
I'm thumbs up.
They
I'd like
need
to
more
see
corners.
the contract details, but
Can't be that much.
Couple
Couple million?
Yeah. They announced in a co-press release that they're now not interested in bringing Jimmy Graham back because they're using his money on Tremaine Brock on the defensive side of the football. All right, before we get to the great debate and we get to the 12th Man Roundtable, Hugh was listening intently, would that be the right word? Intently to Pete Carroll's reaction to Michael Bennett's protest and his discussion with Michael and how he feels about that. And I could see your wheels turning. Your wheels were turning during that press conference.
They were. I just think Pete Carroll is really deft at that type of thing. I thought he was fantastic following the Richard Sherman incident with Aaron Andrews on the sideline of the championship game against the 49ers, the whole Crabtree incident, and how he responded. And he's walking a tightrope with the support of the team, with how he feels as an American citizen, with supporting what may or may not be the position of his owner. And I think he just sounds really eloquent when he defends his players in that. And I would include that with
why? What did
well,
he,
there's just,
what was his tone? Was it a tone
thing?
Was
it
a
it's
word
a tone.
choice
It's
thing?
the word choice. It just
he went stuff.
I
and
think
cool
if I'm Michael Bennett, I say, you know what, my coach, he really appreciates. He has my back. He appreciates that I'm a socially conscious person and what have you. You know, and for me, the thing is, I just say, and I said Colin Kaepernick, I think, was wrong, but I don't think it should cost him his career. There's no question he's getting blackballed, and I think that's wrong. I hope that he's able to sign. With Michael Bennett, as an adult, I've gone back and forth even about things like flag burning. And there's no question that is a statement. It's saying basically F you America.
Right.
And I think that kneeling for the national anthem is saying F you America.
Right.
So the question is that, he certainly has his right to say that with the freedoms we have in our country. We also, as fans, have our right to react to him and his statement of "F you, America." And I'm just wondering, is there a way, Slick? Is there a way to advance his cause? It's just hard for me to imagine that a multi-million-dollar famous athlete cannot advance really, really substantive, meaningful causes without taking a knee in the national anthem. Now, if he really says, you know what, there's no other way for me to do this, I've got to say F you, America, to get people talking. But if he could take out an ad in the paper, he can start every interview with, I don't want to talk about the Charger game yet because I want to talk for 25 seconds about this. He could call a press conference. He could call a symposium of prominent people the way Muhammad Ali did back in the 60s with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and some other prominent athletes. I mean, if you
I think you're misguided, Hugh.
I'm misguided.
But go ahead, Slick Hawk.
Well, I mean, you know what Michael Bennett...
Why don't you explain that?
Do you know what Michael Bennett did right after practice yesterday? He went in a room, went on TV, and talked to CNN. Now,
That's what I was going to say.
He's not talking to CNN if he doesn't take a knee on Sunday.
Right.
And he talk about the platform that Muhammad Ali had.
No, I think it's a good point. I think it's a fair point, though. I think that Slick Hawk, that's exactly what Slick Hawk kind of read my mind there. He's in the studio in the
Mind meld.
in the warmth, and we're freezing our asses off here.
It's very cold
according
here.
to Dick Fane,
Need a
we are
parka.
anyway. That's exactly what I was going to say. I think that by kneeling during the national anthem, he gets the universal media. He gets the universal media, the non-sports media, to take notice and to send cameras and put a microphone in front of his mouth. If he just wants to call a press conference and take out an ad, I don't know that the CNNs and all of these outlets are going to. Maybe they would say, "Oh, look at that! An athlete is taking a social stand on what's going on in the United States." But I think that he feels like by taking the knee during the anthem, the microphones come behind that, and television cameras come behind that. That's what
so
I.
This
I
is
agree.
the new American.
I agree with Slick Hawk.
To get a voice, we're gonna take a knee. Is this going to happen with colleges? Is this going to happen with high school? Are we going to go to high school football and basketball games? I know there's all kinds of fancy Latin terms for fallacy, the slippery slope. But is there a slippery slope here? Where are we?
Why does this bother you so much, Hugh? I said yesterday, and I'm just one guy, or a couple days ago when we had this debate. I remember when it was. Was it yesterday? I said that what bothered me about it, and why I've changed my mind on this. What bothered me about it was I found it really offensive towards the people that protect us, the people that go out and risk their lives to protect us. And that starts with police and goes all the way to overseas, okay? But then as I felt offended for those people, I started to feel like as I listened to most of those people talk, they all defended it. They weren't offended. Police officers
they all
weren't.
were.
I'm not going to say all. I didn't say all. No, I said
you said the word. They all defended it.
The ones that spoke about it. Okay, the ones that spoke to me about it, and that I watched. Slickhawk, correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
I don't remember one police officer or member of the military or former member of the military or one, and I'm sure there were.
Well, I read a
but
lot
I don't
of
remember
social
one
media, and
family of the member.
Yeah.
Okay, so social media may be the exception.
There's a lot on
but
both
it just
sides.
seemed like the huge majority. Let's just use it that, because I can't make it all. The huge majority of the people that I felt like were neglected in the kneel, they all said that's exact. We protect the United States. We're protecting your right to do that. We're protecting Colin Kaepernick's right to do that. We're happy that we live in an America that he can do that. So I softened my opinion on it because it just seemed like most of the people that I were upset for weren't upset themselves at all, and they took the other side to this. So I've changed my mind on it. Why are you still so offended by? Why are you so insistent that he should do it in a different way than? I don't understand that.
I think you're misrepresenting.
I'm just asking.
You're trying to create a radio bit and project me as being hyper offended. And
no, I'm just asking whatever you are.
Happening.
Whatever you are.
So if you ask me what I would like to see, I'm coming from this from a lot of different perspectives. It's a perspective of trying to understand. Look, when I've listened to Michael Bennett, I found him to be very elegant as well. And I thought there was a certain charm to how he said, hey, look, I'm an American, I love hot dogs and whatever. Obviously, he's speaking in metaphors here, so I think he's done a terrific job. There's other layers of you've got teammates, and it's 2 minutes before a football game, and there's a potential distraction there. Coach Carroll had said, hey, we want our guys, whatever you do, be united in it. And then he's not united. So, yeah, sir, I ask, are there other ways that he can take a very meaningful, substantive stance without saying F you America 5 minutes before a football game? That's all. That's all.
Anybody who has listened to you today or in any other day has gotten the opinion, and you could ask anybody else because I've gotten the emails, and that I'm not saying you're outraged by it. It seems very clear that you would prefer. I'm not going to call it I'm not making a radio bit out of it. I'm not saying you're a 10 on a scale from 1 to 10, but it's pretty obvious in your words, tell me if I'm wrong, that you would prefer if Michael Bennett found a different way to address his views and to air his views than kneeling for the national anthem. And I'd just like to know why, and maybe you just gave us the reason. Is the reason because of a potential distraction?
Don't you think Pete Carroll has the exact same position as me? Don't you think he'd prefer that Michael Bennett would do it a different way?
I don't
when
know
he
if
already
he would.
said he wants us he
said as much. He said he wants the team to stand
to
for
be
the,
together, and
the
he
anthem.
says, "I love America. I would like
any-
to stand for the flag." You don't think Pete Carroll, if
I guess.
in a quiet moment, would say he wouldn't prefer?
Okay.
He wouldn't exalt Michael Bennett on many laudable aspects of what Michael Bennett's doing, but you don't think Pete Carroll would say, "Well, I would prefer that." You don't think Paul Allen
would prefer him do it a different way?
You don't think Roger Goodell? Now, maybe you say that doesn't matter. F you to all of them, too. F you, America. F you, Pete Carroll. F you, Roger Goodell. Okay, fine. Then we've determined then that that's the best way to advance his message.
I don't see a potential distract. The first point that you brought up about it, you got a football game to play, and now you are going to alienate certain teammates, and maybe the team. I guess your inference is that the team wouldn't produce on the football field. That the final line would be something less because of his actions of kneeling. I don't see the connection.
Okay,
of those
all right.
dots.
So we've got comments from Doug Baldwin. He says he may join. So now let's say we're in a situation. We got Michael Bennett. We got Doug Baldwin. We got Richard Sherman. Maybe some guys coming. And look, I'm not trying. Here's the problem with this. I'm not trying to say this. It's easy to make this into a black-white issue because the stance generally tends to be issues that are important to black people. I'm coming from a position. Look, if you're coming from a position that blacks are no better or no worse than whites, they're equal, then you can have the discussion. What if Colin Kaepernick was taking a knee to protest capital gains tax? If you're taking a knee, and in the scenario that I was just starting to describe, you had 3, 4, 5 Seahawks, and now I don't know how the CenturyLink crowd is going to react to that. Maybe there's a certain energy. Maybe there's a couple of guys on the Seahawks that maybe it's Bobby Wagner, maybe it's Justin Britt, who are are offended. They're pissed.
Yeah.
Well, it's freaking BS, and there's a certain
so
energy.
Then it's dangerous. It's dangerous to the outcome of the Seahawks.
I would say
potentially. I don't see that.
I thought Pete Carroll was very elegant in how he described. It was very
eloquent. Yeah.
Elegant, and eloquent.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
And yet I still think he would say he would ask himself first, perhaps of Michael Bennett, is there a way to have this meaningful insertion into into topics that, let's face it, are far more important than pro football? Is a way to do it and still honor the team and our sense of being Americans that are trying to unite and solve problems together, as opposed to taking a knee and saying "F you, America."
Well, Jason Lockenfor was out there yesterday, and he talked to a bunch of people, as you would imagine he would, and he wrote a story that came out this morning about how the Seahawks players not only don't view this as something that will be a distraction, it's actually a galvanizing force for them.
Okay,
it's something
the
they're going
problem
to
with that
rally
is
behind and bring them together.
You know what?
So now the
I
product
mentioned
is
that
better.
point, and
So
I
now the
mentioned that
product
point.
is
And maybe that's the overriding. But you know what? I've been on too many drinking beer sessions with offensive linemen where they have all pent up thoughts about coaches, this, that, and the other thing, and guys who don't like what's going on with the organization or how coaches are doing it. You know what? They don't tell the media. You know what they do? They go to a bar and they order a pitcher of beer and they bitch about it together.
Okay.
So don't even.
But then
What
on
you
Sunday,
just said
you know
to
what
me
they
means
do, though?
nothing to
on
me.
Sunday, then they still go out there and they block.
Yeah, and
And they
maybe
do their
will.
job.
Yeah, but don't try and say because you talked to 5 or 6 people who said hallelujah, do it. That all of a sudden you're speaking for 60 different players.
But
maybe
is that
you are,
guy-
but you know what? Maybe you're not.
Is that guy going to block worse because he's upset because somebody knelt
Is,
for the
is the
anthem?
other guy going to block better?
If he's inspired by it, if it's a galvanizing force,
Well,
if it's bringing everybody together,
you
sure.
can't argue both sides. If you're going to say that it's going to be galvanizing and a guy's going to block better because he's galvanized, then you could also say that another guy's going to block worse because he's alienated. So you can't have it both ways. I'm saying, look, it probably wouldn't affect the team. They're going to go out. They're professionals. They're going to play good football. But to just say, well, okay, now the team is united behind. How do we know that?
Well,
because the signs that would
so
indicate
if-
that they're splintered are not going to be evident to us.
So if it probably wouldn't affect negatively the outcome, what is the biggest issue with a guy?
Well,
kneeling?
maybe it would.
Okay. So you're reintroducing that it might negatively impact how good the team is on the football field.
Yeah.
If a guy kneels for that. Okay. 22 minutes after
what
the
about
hour.
your relationship with the fans?
Yeah, that's
After all, this is a money-making enterprise. Oh, I know that's taboo. Okay, I mean, how do the
Okay, well, last year, Jeremy, this is not the first time that a Seahawk has kneeled during the anthem. Did they not kneel last year at home?
Yeah.
At CenturyLink Field?
Jeremy Lane did.
Okay. I don't remember what games it did. It impact? I don't know. I guess we'll never know whether the fans weren't as loud as they could have been because they saw Jeremy Lane kneeling during the national anthem.
All I'm saying is if we can agree that kneeling for the national anthem is a FU for the current state of America, is that the
we
best
can't agree on
way?
that.
We can't agree on that. Okay.
I can't agree with you on it. I don't think anybody's saying "F you, America."
Yeah, I don't agree with
I don't agree with that at all.
922 on 950 KJR. We got a 12th man roundtable. We got Bob Condotta. We got Greg Bell. We've got to get to the daily edition next on 950 KJR. The boys are here. It's a little mini 12th man roundtable, a little daily mini 12th man roundtable. Hey, Greg, let's start with you today. We've been just yelling and screaming about Michael Bennett's decision to kneel. You offer a very fresh and interesting opinion because of your background. We were discussing what Pete Carroll's reaction to that was. Give us a personal view. Give us a view of how you think the organization has handled all of this, Jeremy Lane and Michael Bennett and so forth.
I agree with Pete Carroll in that I think every American should stand for the national anthem. And you're right. I have a different background. I went to West Point, served in the military for 6 years. I just think that's what it's not just a song on a piece of paper or music to an ear. It's not just a piece of cloth as the flag. It represents what this country is about. And everybody who lives here should appreciate, if not agree, appreciate who came before them, what those principles were that this country was founded upon. I definitely think Michael Bennett, Jeremy Lane, Colin everyone should stand. And I tried to ask Bennett yesterday if there are not other ways that you could voice your opinion on this rather than sitting during the anthem. I asked Doug Baldwin the same question. However, I think that I am not personally offended when Michael Bennett sat down. I was not. Sitting in the press box, I was not offended by seeing him sitting down. I think that the organization has handled it the way Pete Carroll handles all player initiatives, in that he gives them the leeway to be individuals. This is no different. Why would he have let them do anything and just about anything that's not illegal in the locker room and then clamp down on something like this? It's a very complicated issue. I understand why people get upset and say that they're wrong. I understand why people say that they have the freedom and of speech and freedom of expression to do what these players are doing. It's a very complicated issue. I also agree with the premise of why these guys are doing it, and that minorities are not treated right in this country, and that there's not enough of discussion and action to fix that. So it's a very nuanced, it's not a black and white situation at all.
Bob, what Michael Bennett would say if he were here, might say, I shouldn't say would say, might say, is I've got to kneel during the national anthem to get the CNNs of the world and the non-sports universal media outlets to put a microphone in my face and a camera in my face. I can get the sports world ear anytime I want. But to get CNN to ask me why, I got to do this. You agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Or can he get
pretty
CNN,
self-evident?
or
Yeah,
can
I don't think he's going to get.
Can he make a statement? And could he send out, or could he take a
No,
an
because
ad
this
in
is a hot button issue that everybody will talk about. No one would talk about an ad in a newspaper, or nobody talks about the work they, foundation work and things like that. But this is such a hot button topic; it does draw that attention.
Yeah, Hugh, you want to add anything to this? Okay, let's move on to then yesterday. First practice since the game, right? Am I doing the math on that right?
Yeah, they were
first
Sunday,
practice
off
since and the surprise of the day was Paul Richardson came out.
Yeah, I mean it was non-pads, non-practice.
But still
yeah,
participated.
Sure.
Pete Carroll said, when somebody asked him about opening day, for sure opening day, almost to suggest he'll play in a preseason game before opening day somewhere along the lines. What happened? Speedy recovery? What happened?
Well, AC sprains, you got a lot of different grades, so obviously it was a very low grade one. So obviously, he's I guess just as simple as that. I mean, sometimes those can be, 2-week injuries, and maybe that's what his is. So, yeah, I don't think he'll play this week, and then maybe they'll try to get him in that third game or the fourth game just to get him out there a little bit. But, he knows his injury history as well as everybody else does, so I'm sure he's pretty highly motivated to try to do what he can to get out there.
And that's where I was going next, Greg. You mentioned it on the Seahawks at 7. That maybe, in so many words, he's smelling his NFL mortality. And there are other wide receivers that are making plays on this football field, and maybe Paul Richardson's tired of hearing how he's injury-prone and you can't rely on him, and all of a sudden he's saying to himself, I better get on the football field if I can do, at all costs, whatever I can do, right?
Exactly, and this is the last year of his rookie contract, and he – as of right now, you could make a case the Seahawks would not even offer him a second contract because they can't count on him to stay on the field. This is his time. He emerged last year when Tyler Lockett, after Lockett broke his leg, he had, I think it was 10, 12 catches in 4 games and 2 touchdowns, which he wasn't doing in a 4-game span at any other time of his career. Yeah. Now's his time. Yeah. And to sit on the sidelines his last year of his contract, I think that definitely plays a role in this.
Well, and he also, he sort of moved ahead of Jermaine Kearse, and he basically is a starter, and it has been throughout camp in their base offense ahead of Jermaine. So he knows, again, this is his opportunity to really do something and sort of create that for himself. But I also just think, obviously, it wasn't as bad. They always make those things look bad in the initial because they don't know what it is. So you put a sling on it, and so everybody sees him on a sling, so you don't know if that's 3 months or 2 weeks. So it turned out to be 2 weeks instead of 3 months.
Hugh, whether Paul Richardson plays in the next preseason game or he doesn't, whether he plays in any preseason game or he doesn't, are the Seahawks misguided to put a lot of eggs in the Paul Richardson basket, knowing the history, looking at his body, and, making big plans for their offense with Paul Richardson, only to be disappointed a couple or 2 games into the regular season?
Well, if I was making decisions, he'd be more like a third or fourth guy. I think it's just asking a little much to say, well, he's a starter, and, he's going to go out for 500, 550 routes over the course of the year. There's the injury concern, and then just, what can you get from him as a complete receiver? He's a little bit more of a specialty guy, which to me speaks to more third and fourth receiver.
Okay, so then you'd use him as a fifth receiver. We know what you think of Jermaine Kearse. You don't have to go around that corner again. So where outside of Tyler Lockett and Doug Baldwin, is it Kason Williams that I mean, is it David Moore? Is it Grayson? I mean,
Amara Darboh. I mean, that's
Amara Darboh. We haven't seen. I mean, who is
I
it?
think there's some intrigue for McAvoy. That's a possibility.
McAvoy, yeah.
They threw 11 targets to him. Russell Wilson's passer rating was over 120 when he threw to him, which was just a point or two above what it was to Doug Baldwin. Obviously, it's a much smaller sample set. So I would just create an environment of competition there, and I would use guys that I think have a higher ceiling and I would identify guys that I think have low to medium ceilings, and I would just kind of push them off to the side and allow guys that I thought had a chance to emerge.
Now, the other surprise of the day yesterday for Bob and Greg was the absence. I'm assuming it was a surprise. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Maybe you guys knew that KJ wasn't going to show up. I didn't know.
No, I didn't know.
Okay.
No,
and
I
so
didn't.
he's not only not there, not here, not going to be here the whole week, and he's off doing some mysterious.
He's yodeling.
They're very. Oh, we're back to Switzerland. We're back to the whole, very secretive. What's going on? Where is he? What's happening? What do we know? Do we know anything except what I just said, Bob? Do we know anything about KJ?
No, I don't know. Yeah, that's KJ's been one of the most reliable, dependable guys they've had. Started every game the last 3 years, and I think missed a couple of games in 2013. But other than that, yeah, he's been as dependable and durable and all of that. So we'll see. No, I didn't know anything about it. The starters only played the one series, so nobody not playing after that didn't catch anybody's eye.
Could he have got? Are we assuming he got hurt in that one series?
He said it was something that's bothering him for a while, so I assume it's been bothering.
We could go back to the tape, I'm sure, and watch closely him on every play. It wouldn't take very long to watch.
Well, I didn't think the linebacker
KJ
coverage was real great in that game, so I don't know. Maybe that
He
did impact him a little bit.
He had 13 snaps in that game, which means he stayed on the field beyond the first drive. If he's away from the facility outside the normal NFL training room, he is not just doing physical therapy. And if Pete Carroll says he doesn't have surgery, well, what is it then? It very well could be that PRP that Sidney Rice underwent, but that was 4 years ago. The technology and the medicine in this country is that PRP procedure is more, as I understand it, is more prevalent in the United States than it was when Sidney Rice went through it in 2013. So we're not saying he went to Europe to do this. That's the platelet replacement therapy where they're spreading the blood in a centrifuge. I remember doing a story on a Mariners pitcher who did it. It might have been Cliff Lee back in the early 2010s who did the same thing.
Familiar.
They inject the platelets. The blood has been in the centrifuge. Spinning.
Tiger Woods did it.
He did, and it higher concentration of platelets for a faster recovery. They inject the injury site with that platelet-rich blood, and it's supposed to speed up recovery. Pete Carroll said it was a nagging knee injury, something that suggests it wasn't just from Sunday's game. And he also said that he would be gone this week to take care of it, implying he would be back next week, not necessarily on the field, but back. Again, it's August 13th or whatever it is. It's not a huge concern that the starting Pro Bowl linebacker is gone right now because it's mid-August, and that's why they sent him away. If this was September, it's a different story.
Okay, so before you guys run out on me, is it too early, since it's only Wednesday, but they play Friday, to take a few educated guesses as to anybody that played on Sunday that won't play this week, and vice versa? Guys that didn't play on Sunday that might play this week.
Jeremy Lane told me yesterday he is going to play Friday.
He's going to play Friday.
And then he came back to practice yesterday in position drills. He watched during team drills while Shaq Griffin was still the right cornerback and DeAndre Elliott was still the nickel. Pete Carroll said there's a good chance that Lane will play as well. So it'll be interesting to see, will he play only in nickel situations? Does he go back to where he was before he got hurt? It was a groin injury. Lane told me, a tweak of the groin. Does he go back to right cornerback to start the game? Maybe not, because today might be his first time back, fully go. Kason Williams is going to get more reps because of what they did on Sunday. That's the way Pete Carroll is. He rewards game performance immediatly, and we saw it yesterday out in practice. He got more reps with the first-team offense. He's going to get more reps in the Minnesota game.
Tremaine Brock will play.
He didn't play on Sunday.
No, he didn't play on Sunday. So
what's he going to play?
Quarterback somewhere.
Nickel? Is he an outside?
I don't know exactly what they have in mind.
Has he learned? Have you taught him the kick step yet?
It'll be interesting to see.
I'm the wrong guy to
he
teach.
fits in there.
I'm the wrong guy to teach that.
But
Anybody
that's
else?
an interesting. I mean, I don't know if Tyler Lockett will finally. I mean, he would be the other guy that would be who didn't play. I guess it would be. I mean, Doug Baldwin doesn't need to play in these games, but I'm sure he'll get out there and do something and whatever. Who else? Like. Blanking on who. It seemed like there was a couple other guys. I mean, Paul Richardson wouldn't play. KJ obviously
couple
wouldn't
extra
play.
series for the first team offense and defense.
This is a game where they typically play through the first quarter and maybe into the second, so you sort of get that sort of thing.
So if the first drive by the Vikings is like 12 minutes, it's another one series.
No, not necessarily. They usually try to do a play.
And if that happens, then there is a problem with the first team defense.
All right, guys. Enjoy practice today. Enjoy the day. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it very much. Greg Bell and Bob Condotta, a little mini 12th man roundtable on a daily basis on 950 KJR. Tough guy here. What's missing?
Well, it's warming up.
No, it's because I sat inside for the last 20 minutes.
You pulled an Ian Furness.
I pulled an Ian Furness. It's quite warm in that room in there that Ian's been sitting in all morning long. I don't need the park anymore.
Oh, I love that picture. God, that picture.
Pretty funny.
Your face on that picture.
Well,
when I told you not to smile.
You told me not to smile.
Yeah.
So, because I usually just smile for pictures.
Yeah,
I'm trained to smile for pictures.
Oh God. God, oh God.
Me not smiling is not a natural look in a picture.
So what kind of conclusion have we come up with on Jimmy Graham?
That it's stupid to sign him right now. That's the conclusion.
What? Let me make one more. Let me take one more shot at. Let me take one more shot at you.
What the poll say?
Let me see if I can get Hugh on my side. Let me give him one more thing to think about. What if I told you? What if I told you, which you're going to reject out of hand, but what if I told you that by doing a deal with him now, you could keep the cost against the cap lower than it would cost you at the end of the season if you expect him to have a good year, and therefore maybe free up some money to do something else with the difference that it would cost against the cap with him at the end of the year, maybe be able to add another player. Can I
think the cap's going to go up. The cap's going to go up, but the average for tight ends. So I don't really accept the premise. It's still going to lead me back. First of all, there's only two tight ends that add over 1,000 yards, and both of those guys had 3 and 4 touchdowns respectively. You mentioned you can't find a receiver. One of the biggest signings last year was Mohamed Sanu, which would be exactly what Seattle would have benefited Seattle, which helped Atlanta immensely.
But that's an exception.
No, you got Alshon Jeffrey. I mean,
Alshon Jeffrey's a bum.
But there's opportunities. Wide receivers make bigger impacts than tight ends. So Jimmy Graham is a guy that in 2013 had 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns with a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback whose skill set might be best represented in his ability to throw with anticipation to a guy who's covered in Graham and put it in a spot where only Graham can get it. And the rapport that he had was, it was the best in the league, and it wasn't close. If Russell Wilson cannot develop that type of rapport and have that type of impact, then it's not worth paying him that type of money. So if he can, pay the man his money. Pay him his money. But the rules of the NFL allow you now to take a look this year, watch him in 2017, see what he has, consider that you're signing a 31-year-old, not a 27-year-old, and you know what? You franchise tag him, pay him $9.5 million next year if he has a good year this year, and guess what? He's probably done after that because then you're looking at 32, or at least his production you would anticipate would be going down. So I don't want to be locked into a 4-year deal.
Pay that man his money.
It sounds like me that the part of the core difference of opinion is at this table. Correct me if I'm wrong. Seems to be the level or lack thereof of optimism of what kind of year he's going to have.
No, because I think he's
going to have. I think he's going to have a big year.
I thought he was going to have the best year
and
of his
career.
I
think he's then going to be costly. I think he's then going to be costly, and I just got this feeling
he's going to be 31.
I got this feeling they're going to franchise tag if Justin Britt ends up in the Pro Bowl this year. I don't know what the average salary of top 5 or top 10. Franchise tag top 5.
Yeah.
I can't believe that the average salary of centers is very big. I think they're more apt to use the franchise tag on Britt, and then have to be able to do a deal with Graham or let him walk out the door. I don't know. It just seems to me that I think I think we're having a fundamental difference of opinion of how bullish we are. Maybe not you and I, but you and I, you seem to think that maybe just the dynamics aren't in play with the quarterback in position and what's going on between the quarterback and the tight end and the way the quarterback plays the position versus the way Drew Brees plays the position. You seem to be more wishy-washy on what kind of a season he's going to have.
Because I would say after one practice, 2 practices, you could pull up the audio, and I said Jimmy Graham's probably sitting on a big year. The way he's practicing, what have you, he's now in his 3rd year. I think he's sitting on a big year. So I said that a couple of weeks ago. I just think that as you're drawing out scenarios where Seattle would lose, it reminds me of the debate about do you foul up 3 with 6 seconds to go in a basketball game. There's a hell of a lot of things that have to go. I say foul the man, put him on the free throw line. They got to get all kinds of wonky rebounds. They got to get something back in.
You think we agree on that or disagree?
Huh?
Now, Mitch, there is a slight flaw.
No,
in your
I say
philosophy.
foul.
Do you think we agree or disagree on that?
Mitch, there's a slight flaw in your philosophy. It doesn't go by position on the offensive line.
Oh, it
goes by offensive line. So like this year, the
yeah.
tag number was $14.2 million,
Yeah.
whereas this year was $9.7 million for tight ends.
Okay, so they won't want to do that. I got it. Okay, that's enough for today. That's enough for today from the VMAC. We'll be in the studio. Is Hugh with us in the studio tomorrow? Or is he out?
Yeah, Hugh's in tomorrow, 7 to 10.
7 to 10. Hugh, you're in the studio, 7 to 10. Good for you. You get to make the drive in. Chuck and Puck, and you're going to be nice and warm tomorrow in the studio.
I'll be wearing shorts
Chuck and Puck's
tomorrow.
next.
I hate the week.